Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Friday Night Racing here on the Jinx Shifters AOSC10. It's round number 10 coming your way from Hockenheim in Germany tonight. And of course, it's a 300-kilometre single driver endurance. And joining me back in the commentary box tonight, Daniel Leet. Another fantastic night of racing we're looking forward to, Dan.
Yeah, good evening, Matty. Great to be back for another event. So round 10 at Hockenheim, first time out for the series at Hockenheim event, and going to be an awesome little run. We're in the GP layout. The guys are already setting some very quick times as we work our way through qualifying.
And Shepherd has just outdone James Scott there by 0.07 of a second with a 1:39.219. We'll get to that in just a second. Big shout out to our sponsors, of course. Couldn't do the series without them. Simrigs.com, Sydney Computers, Bowler Media and Sideways Photography, Race Circuit Art Australia, AJ Insurance Services, and of course Track Cams for Gourmets. It's great to be back with the Jinx Shifters, round number 10 here. And it's race 185. We've got about 65 laps here tonight. 300 kilometres to get through, 4.5 kilometre track. It's pretty small track actually compared to what we've been to recently.
Yeah, really different, and a huge driver mindset change compared to what we saw last time out at Sebring. Bumps have gone away. We're on a very smooth GP circuit, but we're going to still see some fantastic racing. Big dive for the guys down in towards the hairpin. Expect some 2 and 3 wide action there. But these cars are looking very handy out there so far.
You're starting to get the setups right with the car changes there. James Scott is in second place. That's the talking point at the moment here in qualifying, and we've got about 7 or 8 minutes left in this one. You see James Scott up on screen at the moment, just sliding the car out. Is that one of the Simbrigs guys turned around? I think that might be. It was a Jinx Shifters car. But yes, we have seen plenty in practice where people have outbraked themselves. Probably used a bit too much curbing where they've just dropped a wheel off and spun the car out as well. But we go through there. Jordan Ross is back. Let's hope he has no power outages this week because he is in 3rd place at the moment. Dylan Rudd in 4th. Tom Freer in 5th. Bailey Fridd in 6th. Andrew Dyson in 7th, Aaron Dodd in 8th. So the NSR boys we spoke about in the pre-race show, they are starting to show their way into the top 10 again. Bradley Vaughan in 9, Kyle Stokes 10, Adam Briggs back in 11. So he's just moved to 7, so he's got a bit going on. Damien Johnson, and wait for him for a late charge in the last couple of minutes. We're used to seeing him go a little bit quicker. And Brenton Hobson in 13th. Thomas Hinds, who we had on the pre-race show, is in 14th. Fingers crossed he can get in that top 10.
Yeah, and as we touched on in the pre-race show, qualifying this season's been a little bit of an Achilles heel for him, but racecraft and race presence has been fantastic. We should see him work his way back up towards the pointy end as this one progresses on.
Yeah, only 1.2 seconds off the pace. It's actually quite a bit for him, but he will get better as the night goes on. We know he's really good in racing. If he can just pull a qualifying lap out, it's going to be hard to get up near Shepherd and Scott. As you can see, they've got a 2/10 over Ross, 4/10, nearly 5/10 over Rudd. Then it's half a second back to Freer. Fridd's not far behind. So Briggs now in that 7th position. So let's see how they go. This is qualifying at the moment for AOSC 10 race 185 coming from Hockenheim in Germany. If you just joined us, make sure you get the likes going. Go onto the YouTube channel. If you just picked us up on Facebook, make sure you subscribe and like to that one. Of course, get it up on the big TV at home for a big Friday night. 65 laps. We've got to double the distance this time. Bit coming out of the sprint format. We did touch on it as well in the pre-race show. Is with these tight corners down, especially that big hairpin up the end in turn number 6, it is from memory. That one's going to be very interesting. Anything happens in this, there's going to be plenty of time to recover though. That's the main thing. You're not going to have to go out and do anything silly in the first probably hour of the race. If we can just sort of stay there. The prediction was from 3 out of 4 on the panel, we're going to have 2 safety cars. And Norris predicted 1, so let's see how that goes tonight as well.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think we're definitely going to see the likes of at least 1. We're expecting 2 out there tonight at safety cars, so that'll really help those guys that maybe make a little bit of a meal in towards the hairpin and run off. But as you say, huge amount of runoff. We're just looking at the runoff there into the hairpin, so the guys have a chance to come back and recover it. So hopefully we don't see too much of that. But if they have an issue, they've got some runoff room to use it. We do have some couple of housekeeping things to keep an eye on. The incident limits for this one, drive through at 35 and 60 incident limits. And then, as you said, with the pit stops out there tonight, it's 84 litre fuel capacity in these cars, so expect around 22 laps for these guys, and no doubt we're going to see tyres being taken at every opportunity, whether it's safety car or during the regular pit stop phase.
And that's what could really decide when you're going to come in and pit. Is you're going to get 2 pit stops in minimum. That's what you're going to have to take bare minimum in this race. However, what if we have a safety car early? Do you come in, do you go to the 3-pit strategy? Anything could happen. It's all going to come down to what the teams decide to do. And just having a look there's the DPR guys. Adam Briggs is up in 7th. Now, Brian Borg's just got into 8th. He had a shocking qualifier last week, right back down, I think it was 20 or 21. He was right back down the field. So much more suited to this track and looking a lot happier in the 017 as he moves into 8th position for Borgie. Scott's still not quite ready to go there. He hasn't, I can't see any sector times coming up there where he's been any better than what Corey Shepherd has. So Shepherd might be lucky in this one. Maybe this is his night. He's got plenty of bridesmaids dresses throughout this series. He's been number 2 quite a number of times. Will tonight be Corey Shepherd's night, the Premier Racing Team, number 7-18, the Mr. Antenna entries. You see Brian Borg up on screen, and he is going to pull off now. Looks like he's going to go for a reset and try and get another couple of hot laps in. We have only got a couple of minutes left in this qualifying session. So with an out lap at a 1:39, let's just say a 1:40, he's going to have to come out and do an out lap right now, and he'll get one flying lap is what he'll get. James Scott there got a PB sector time in sector 2 at the moment. You can see up on screen. Just having a look, Henry King's just done a PB there in the 531. Scott's coming around just to complete this lap. Let's see how he goes on this one. Can he do something? No, he's not going to improve on that. Well, he's so close though.
He gets a marginal improvement there, but it's still not quite enough to do it. I was keeping an eye on the last lap too for Corey. He went purple sector 1 on a blistering 21.7 through there. Got a little bit of traffic in the mid sector as well, though. That did sort of hurt his run. But keep an eye to see where he unfolds. As we see Jordan Ross going around as well. He's just working his way past the team car there and actually going to abort this lap. Both these guys going to take the wide runoff there and not hinder anyone else's laps as they just let the rest of those guys cycle through.
Yeah, Adam Briggs and Andrew Dyson have just got out of the pits. James Scott's just left the pits as well. So they're obviously going to try and get this one quick lap in, as it looks like Corey Shepherd going to do a reset there. I don't think he's going to be able to improve on that one. So he's just gone a 1:39.188. And just having a look at that, he did a 1:5 actually in practice. I did catch him up before our qualifying started. He was a 1:39.15. So there is a little bit left there if someone can pull it together. It's going to be hard though, because we are coming down to the last minute of qualifying. So I do believe this will be the final lap. There might be a couple of people get over the start-finish line. But I think we may end up with the point now where we are not going to see too many more people get a lap in, apart from the one they're finishing. James Scott's going to have to do something, but you can see the lap traffic there. He's got time. I don't think he's going to get back to the start-finish line with this one too, because we've only got 35 seconds or 25 seconds left to get there. He's in a bit of traffic at the moment. He's in PT, so he's still going to be off the front row at this point. There's still a number of people out there. Watch out for Ross. He's still out there. Rudd looks like he's coming to the pits. He won't be on one. Scott's actually on an outlap. He's left that super fine, hasn't he, Dan?
Yeah, and he's looking at the time now. He's not going to get this back in the 4 seconds required to do so. And he was held up a fraction there. I think it was Michael Schroeder in the 263 rack 1 car ahead of him. So a little bit of a balk lap on him that one, but you know, it's still a long way to go in this race. And getting a front row start is going to be fantastic as we keep an eye. Jordan Ross going to come across the line to complete this one. A little slower through the first sector. We'll see what he's able to do for the remainder of the lap here.
Yeah, great to see him back in the Synergy Sim Racing boys. We spoke about them as well in the pre-race show, and look, a number of them starting to appear in the top 10 of the championship points now. We've got a couple of them here in the top 10. Tom Freer just sitting in that 5th position. It looks like he is done and locked into that position now for qualifying. I'm just trying to see who else is out on track with, of course, Ross. Borgie start there, Bradley Vaughan start, but we've still got a few names there that possibly could put that lap in. I'm just trying to see where our friend Thomas Hinds has ended up in 15. He won't be happy about that one. Will not be happy, but he's a happy kind of guy. I shouldn't say he's not going to be happy. He'll be content there, but I know he was probably looking to go a little bit higher than that one in this one. Bradley Vaughan up on screen as he slides the car around. That's not going to be good to finish off the lap. As you can see, no green times or purple times coming up there. Of course, Dakota Sim Sports car is up on screen at the moment, Sharpie, and it looks like he is going to pull into pit lane, so they're all starting to get ready to get into race mode here tonight. 300 kilometres, you don't want to wear yourself out. It's not really going to matter, I don't think, for James Scott if he's not, as long as he's not at the back of the pack or something hasn't happened.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, the hardest part we're going to see for these guys off the line is get these cars 2x2 through turn 1 and set yourself up for a run into turn 2. So the start's going to be all critical here, and we'll see. And I think the biggest thing to keep an eye on is going to be that mid-pack to see how everyone works their way through there. Do we have any bump and run? And is there any push and shove as these guys try and sort themselves out?
All right, so we'll reset that one. Let's start to have a look at how they ended up in qualifying. It looks like we still got a couple of cars there just rounding it out there. You can see the man furiously waving that checkered flag saying, come on guys, get in, fuel up, put the tyres on, because we've got the big race coming to you from Hockenheim here tonight. 65 laps it is. Like we say, minimum 2 pit stops in that one. That's the best they're going to be able to do. 4.57 kilometres here tonight. We are going to get these supercars singing around here. And there's some big braking areas. So that's going to put a lot of tyre degradation on those fronts. We were talking about that with Briggsy a couple of pre-race shows ago, how he said the new tyre set really hurts the tyres if they lock them up under brakes this time. So that could play a little bit of a part there with the new style of car setup.
Absolutely. I mean, the cars drive completely different to how they have in past events, and keeping those tyres underneath is going to be all critical.
All right, let's have a look at the Jinx Shifters qualifying results at the moment. Corey Shepherd out in front there with a 1:39.188. James Scott just behind him by almost 1/10 of a second. Jordan Ross in third. Dylan Rudd in fourth. On the third row, you got Tom Freer and Brayley Frid. Fourth row, Adam Briggs and Brian Borg. Andrew Dyson and Aaron Dodd fill up the fifth row. Bradley Vaughan and Brenton Hobson in row number 6 in 11 and 12. And we go on to Kyle Stokes in 13th, Damien Johnson alongside in row 7, Thomas Hinds back in row 8 with Brad Ratu alongside, Craig Ansbach and Greg Sharp will line up alongside each other in row number 9, Christian Smart and Sebastian Flock row 10, Jamie Dyke and Matthew Brunt in row 11, David Kimmond and Brenton Nitschke will be on row number 12. Then we go back to Roderick Hollis and Michael Schrotter, who's in 26th, Wade Sheedy in 27th, Tyson McEvoy in 28th. There you go. Already stumbled tonight, boys. Nicholas Timors in 29. Chris Barnes in 30th. That's row 15. Row 16, Darren McKenzie, Dave Douglas. 17 will be Joseph Daly and Jaden Borg. That's the 17th row there. And the 18th row, Rick Sibra and Aaron Gilbert in the Henry James Racing. Then we go back to Nathan Trigantham and Michelson Jack. Then Riley Curtis and Braden O'Loughlin is in 40th. Harry Dodds in 41. Scott Wetz in 42. Henry King all the way back in 43. And Michael Taliancic. That's strange to see him down in the Pursuit Sim Racing 777 in 44. So we've got everyone. One big race tonight. They've all been in the same practice server. They've all been in the same qualifying server. We're about to get underway and start this 300-kilometre race. All thanks to Jinx Shifters, the AOSC10, race 185. As we line them up on the grid, waiting for the lights to come up. Race is not too far away. I hope you've got all your beverages. You've got us up on YouTube. Here we go. Get set. All on the grid. Lights are out. Race is underway now. Let's see this. Can James Scott get a good start? Borgie pulls out too. Can he make a move? Maybe he looks like he's gone past Freer, who's had a... No, Freer's got away soon. I'm just having a look who that is down the back who's moved down. That might be Aaron Dodd or Bailey Frid. Might be
Bailey Frid had a shocker getting off the line there.
Yeah, Frid just moved back, and he's already back 4 positions. So just going to have to watch it coming here under brakes. Brian Borg looks like he's on the inside with the left-hander here. That's it. Oh, a little bit of contact, I think, in the back there between, was that Briggs and Freer. Now, Brian Borg's made his way up into 5th, so he's actually come good out of that after a little bit of contact there in the back of the pack. Now, James Scott has had to slot in behind Corey Shepherd. They've had a fairly even start on this one. And how patient is he going to be? Because Jordan Ross isn't being patient. He's putting it all out there, and James Scott has to be evasive already. They're coming to the hairpin, though. He gets a nice run coming out of that one. So this is where he's got to watch out. Jordan Ross was pretty fast last week as well. A lot of carnage in the background, too. I can see all sorts of cars locking up there, and this is what we spoke about, those braking areas, Dan.
Yeah, there was a big one in the back there. I think I saw one of the Coda Sim Sports cars involved in that. And we kind of expected that was going to be where the issue was going to be, down into that hairpin. And we already saw it right at the start there, 2 wide action between Scott and Ross as they tried to filter their way through. It was even worse down at the back.
Yeah, Nathan Trevantham has gone back a bit. Michelson Jack. Sebastian Flock's down 16 spots into 36. So not a great start from him either. Looks like he's been involved in some stuff as well. As we check out the replay now, as they come around. You're right, Greg Sharp there. Coda Sim Sport entries. Pulls up here. We're just going to see exactly what happened. Who's had a bit of a lock-up maybe? Oh, that's Taliancic. Wow. He is pushing hard, isn't he, Taliancic?
Yeah, that was a big one. One of the pursuit cars involved in that, and that's a long way back there. And Greg, the unwitting victim in that one. So wait to see how race control adjudicate that. But we might expect a drive-through penalty as a result for that pursuit car. Yeah,
don't know what happened to Taliancic. Maybe he just logged onto the server late because very uncharacteristic to see him down in 44. Although a lot of curb usage here, which we did see in qualifying, and if you go to those outer limits in iRacing, null and void your laps. So maybe that's another thing. If you only got a couple of laps in qualifying, maybe just didn't stay with it. So it was actually David Kimman that dove down the inside. Sorry about that, Mr. Taliansky. I thought I saw the 777, but I think there are a couple of sevens in Kimman's number actually. Is he a 717? Maybe I got that. Maybe I got that close. I was close, Dan.
Well, yeah, you're close, and we'll give you that. Good effort from the point in it, but yeah, no, thank you to Mr. Colsat for quickly correcting us on that one there.
All right, so you can see Shepherd is the leading this. Can he hold on though? He's got another 200 and probably about another 280 kilometres to go. He's got to hold out just some bloke called James Scott who's leading the championship at the moment. I don't know, like, can he do it? Let's hope it's fingers crossed. Maybe tonight is his night. Jordan Ross, though, he has had a shocking series, really. Just a lot of bad luck there. Been involved in some incidents that weren't always his fault, really. Just got the odd car doing the dive on him and stuff like that. Last week it was a power outage that took him out of the race, him and Aaron Dodd. So let's hope tonight maybe he can get a podium finish as well. We had him on the show a few weeks ago, and a great chat with him. And normally he's on the jet skis, mate. He's a bit of a jet ski champion. So good to see him get behind the sim. Well,
absolutely. I mean, he gets involved in a lot of different stuff, and it's interesting also to hear from a lot of these drivers what they do outside of this sort of environment as well. So, the best for him. We have also got a very slow car on the back section there. Sebastian Flock in the Pursuit Sim Racing 84 has had a huge moment there, and that car very slow getting away.
One thing I am super impressed with at the moment, though, is that we've got Aaron Dodd up here in 4th position. So Dodd is doing a great job. We spoke about the NSR boys, how they've started to make a bit more of a shining there, and they've had some impressive sections of races. They just need to really put it all together and make that happen.
Absolutely. If they can sort it out, they're definitely on a good charge at the moment, and we're seeing a lot of these teams really find good form with these cars as they've progressed on. We're, as you say, already season race 10 now in the championship. They've started to get their head around it, and a huge amount of testing and development's gone in to get these setups back to where they need to be. So as this goes on, look for these guys to work their way up.
Well, Dylan Rudd is in that NSR Esports in position 4. That's actually where he started out of qualifying. Andrew Dyson's moved up 4 positions down to 5, and we just see him come around in the background there, so he's not too far behind this lead pack. Brian Borg in 6th, just behind him. So they're going to be pretty close together. Bailey Frid behind him, Adam Briggs, Aaron Dodd, and Tom Freo has gone back 6 positions, which I'm quite surprised about, because it was Frid who didn't have the good start, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, he dropped like a stone off the lights there. He's regained quite well. I mean, he's only now down the one spot from where the things kicked off, but a lot of early work that he didn't really probably want to do, and that's also going to take a little bit of life out of those tyres.
Yeah, we did speak about the tyre degradation a little bit earlier with the new setup of these cars, and it can really hurt you if you lock them up or get them a little bit too warm if you heat cycle them a little bit too much, as you see Damien Johnson just pulling back in behind Tom Freo up on screen now, the Sim Racing guys. So Damien Johnson has just gone past, actually, so gets the move done, and he's been super quick in the last, in a number of races this season, but the last couple really stood out. Another one, I suppose, once again, is Damien Johnson just needs to have a clean race and not really get involved accidentally or push too hard at certain points. We've got 300 kilometres to get through here tonight, 65 laps. We're only on lap number 4, so we've still got 61 laps. No need to really push it at the moment. All of us predicted a safety car, at least one safety car. So even if the lead pack gets a little bit too far in front of you, you'd expect that at some point during the race, you're going to get that opportunity to bunch back up and have another go at that lead pack.
Definitely. I think we've been very fortunate at this point. We haven't seen a safety car early on, and I mean, while the battling is as tense as ever at the front of the field, the midfield's now starting to spread out a bit. We've got 4 or 5 separate little groups of cars all working their way around at the moment, and still some great battling through that. We have had a few guys already in the lane, however, following earlier contact. Dave Douglas has gone in, Brenton O'Loughlin has gone in, and Mikel Jake has gone in as well. So some early incidents for those guys, and hopefully they're able to use the safety car to get themselves back into the race like we saw at Watkins Glen.
Check out the times, though. James Scott has posted the fastest time of the race so far. And we're not talking by a lot either. We're talking by hundredths of a second. So it's less than 700ths of a second. It's like 60. I'm going to go with about 67 thousandths of a second there, just quickly off the top of my head. And they've just opened up a little bit of a gap over Jordan Ross at the moment. Just a slight little opening there now, and they're starting their little lead pack as they branch away. Jordan Ross has a little bit of air between him and Dylan Rudd, so doesn't quite have to put the elbows out and be as defensive at the moment. But look in the background, Andrew Dyson, Borg and Adam Briggs, they are now in a little bit of a battle. And Brian Borg, after last week, what a recovery, because had a shocking qualifier last week. From memory, I can actually bring this up. I'm going to actually have a look, because last round Brian Borg ended up in 16th, which I thought it was, but he started in 20th or 21st or something like that. So to have him up in the top 10 tonight, especially seeing he qualified quite well, so he qualified in 8th, he's now up in the 6th position. Let's, fingers crossed maybe, because he is battling out there in the series points at the moment, Mr. Borg. He's dropped back into 6th, but he was in that top 5 for quite some time earlier in the series. So back in 6th, if he can have a good one tonight, maybe he can just get back up towards Tom Freer and Adam Briggs in the championship points.
Yeah, definitely, quite possibly. And I think this is more of a circuit that is definitely more suited to him. We saw him really struggle on the bumps of Sebring. And I don't know whether that was just a bit of driver preference there, because obviously we saw how good Corey was able to go when he took that race right to James Scott. But the driving style required to get the most out of these cars, maybe just not quite suiting Brian to the full extent. And as you see him go very defensive across the start-finish line, he's doing everything he can right now to keep Adam Briggs behind, who's trying to close up on the back of his teammate, Andrew Dyson, just ahead. So look for these guys in towards turn 2. Briggs looks like he's going to get this move completed.
Here we go under brakes, and Borgie may have to pull back on this position. Will he get done? Oh no, a little bit loose. Throttle was down hard, and Borgie's just on the right side of the track too, coming out of that corner, which obviously is our turn number 4 there. So just, you go to the right hand, you go to the left, you can stay on that outside, you've got a good chance to come in under power. They head around the parabolica and up to this tight hairpin turn number 6, but Briggs gets the nose down again. Got to turn it around here, just has to be real careful putting the power down. And it looks like he might get the move done this time and hold on to that one, so Briggs will move his way up into 6th, chasing his teammates. So they are really coming on strong, especially with the new car set up, the DPRsimrigs.com boys.
Absolutely, and I mean, Adam didn't go into, or didn't want to give away all the trade secrets that they've sort of been working on with the car, but when we spoke to him on the pre-race show, he was really sort of getting on with the amount of work that his team, or the team are doing collectively to try and wrap their heads around the setup required to get the most out of this car. And it really seems like they've found a really good sweet spot. And as I was saying already, they're working their way back up forward. Borgie doing a hell of a job though. He's got a freight train of cars right behind him, with Frigg now trying to still recover. Aaron Dodd, who's gained a spot. Damien Johnston gained 4 spots off the start as well. So another one of the Synergy Sim cars coming back in. And let's look at what we saw in the championship. There's 5 of them in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, Aaron Dodd and Dylan Rudd, the NSR Esports guys, both of them are in the top 10 at the moment. Aaron Dodd sitting in 9th, as you can see up on your screen, just behind Bailey Frid, who didn't have the best start there, dropped back about 4 or 5 positions. Now he's back into 8th position. He started out of 6th, Bailey Frid, just in front. We move back a little bit too. It goes Damien Johnson in 10, Tom Freer in 11th, who's now 6 positions from where he started. So he's got involved. There was a little bit of contact earlier in the race there, just on the back quarters. Brenton Hobson, though, from Synergy Sim Racing, is sitting in 12th at the moment. As you see them come around, they're all in a bit of a battle pack here. There's not much between them, and it sort of starts at position 5 and goes all the way down. If I'm looking at the split times, down about 13, where they're all sort of bunched up there in a great little battle going on at the moment.
Yeah, that battle's going to rage on all throughout this race as we turn our attention back up to the front here. James Scott trying to set up a move on the back of Corey Shepherd there. He's really getting racy in that car as we saw him work up through turn 8, the outside of the stadium section. They're now about to turn into Mobile 1 corner, head up towards Sachs. And he's in with a chance here. If he can get one down the inside, look for him to make a move there.
Yeah, so the track temperature out there at the moment is about 23 degrees, so not too warm, but we'll be starting to warm up there. 31% humidity, partly cloudy, which is, sorry, not track temperature, the air temp 23, but the track temperature is 42. Partly cloudy, which will play in a bit of favour there, I think, for the tyres in this race at the moment. We haven't really seen anyone, though, come in for a scheduled pit. Well, no one's going to, looks like they're going to do the 3-pit strategy unless we see a safety car, which we can't see happening. So we've probably got ourselves another about 12 to 14 laps before we start to see someone come into the pit lane and start the first of their strategies. Just having a look though as we go through the sector times, and and Ross now really gets onto Scott the first couple of sectors, doesn't he? But Scott pulling away in the third sector, maybe being held up a little bit by Corey Shepherd at the moment, because once Scott gets into that groove, we normally see him just pull away lap after lap, but uncharacteristically, he is in second position at the moment, so he's actually got to somehow figure out where he's going to make his move and how patient he wants to be.
Yeah, and I think this is probably a smart play from him because he can actually save a little bit of fuel while he's in this scenario as well, and that might either extend the range for the pit stop where we'll see him crack 1 or 2 flying laps in after the fact, or it's going to cut down the stationary pit stop time, so that he's got a couple of options there to try and work his way further up the field. This battle further down with Brenton Hobson involved, Brad Vaughan, Kyle Stokes involved in it as well. Nothing separating all these guys, actually a little further back there. So these guys are flying up in this battle here, and look for them to try and latch on to the guys just ahead. We've got Tom Freer, Aaron Dodd and Bailey Frigg just ahead of them.
The Damien Johnson in P11 at the moment, he is up 3 positions behind his teammate Tom Freer, who's in 10th. So, sideways there, that's Aaron Dodd. It's really a lot of curb usage I noticed here, Dan, but the problem with going out wide in the curb is if you go a little bit too far, a little bit too wide, drop a wheel on the grass, you got to really get onto that steering wheel really quickly because they get out of control, especially under acceleration. Very hard to grab the car, which we just saw from Aaron Todd sort of in the background of the screen, or foreground I should say. But Damien Johnson there, just following his teammate at this point, they may just try to get some laps in and use this as an opportunity, especially if Dodd's pushing really hard and making those minor errors. Maybe as a team, Tom Freer and Damien Johnson could probably push through another few positions.
Absolutely. I mean, the more the pressure they can apply, it's really going to make it interesting here as we see Stokes slows right up on the back of Vaughan, almost gives him a little love tap on the way through too there. And he's just going to keep mounting. And for Vaughan at the moment, he's just got to try and resist as much as possible. Keep an eye though at Thomas Hinz on the background, because if something does happen to these two in front of him, Hinz has got an opportunity to gain a couple of spots as we see a move down in towards the hairpin, and we'll see whether Stokes can get it turned in. Nearly collects the team car. That could have been diabolical for those guys.
I like Hinz. Like when we spoke to him on the show this week, we noticed he's very calculated in what he does, I suppose, and like he did say, he uses practice and qualifying really as to get his head around the track. So he doesn't do a lot of V8 supercar racing anymore. He does a couple of series, does a lot more GT3 stuff. So with that experience and probably doing the long races in GT3, I know a lot more of them are the 12 hours, 24 hours and things like that. So just playing it safe there on the background, not putting too much pressure on, which just meant that time when Kyle Stokes spins out, he's got plenty of time to make sure he doesn't make contact. He's only 1 position up, but he's just sitting off the back of all these battles.
Yeah, if he can hold station there, he's definitely going to work his way through. I think now with the way that iRacing sort of made some adjustments with the car, it does suit a GT driver a little bit more than traditionally it used to. So that's going to play nicely into Hinz's hand. He almost gets a little bit of a free kick in doing more of that GT stuff to get on top. But I mean, it's still very different characteristics for both of these cars. But he's doing a hell of a job, and he'll just keep picking off those spots one by one. As go back up the front here, Scott's still trying to get this move done. He's taken fractions of time out of Corey Shepherd each consecutive lap, with the exception of lap 8 there, but just not able to find enough to get that car ahead.
And he still cracked that 140.025, which was very early on in the race in the first 4 laps from memory when we brought that up earlier. So they're 10 laps in now. I have the feeling that he just is a little bit faster than Corey Shepherd, but not fast enough to make the move and not in the right areas. So Corey Shepherd just needs to hold out here. He's definitely in the groove there, using a lot of curb on this one. Scott's got a slightly different driving style to him. You can see through the corners as well, which means you see him bunch up in certain parts of the corners, and then the gap opens up again. So it's a little bit deceptive when you watch it. It's a slight different lines as they come into the corners.
Yeah, a little bit different, and I mean that's each driver preference is the way they rotate those cars through the corner. But looking at the sector times at the moment, Shepherd's still quickest through sector 1, and then it switches back to James being quickest sector 2 and 3. So and only quicker by a hair. So there's not a lot between these guys in the way they navigate these cars around the circuit. Taliesin's still continuing his march forward up through the field, now up 15 spots. So he is a man on a mission at the moment. He's got Nicholas Timors ahead, one of the Premier Racing cars. We'll see he's able to dispense that one and gain another spot as well. But it's been a great drive from him so far. And also, we must welcome into the booth as well, Mr. Matthew Norris. G'day, Norrie. Welcome aboard, buddy.
Good to be here, boys. No, better late than never.
What are you doing, mate? Just repairing your car?
I was cracking the numbers for this race. It's going to be incredible to watch how these pit stops form and where they actually do land when it comes out, and who's going to use the 2 stops to their benefit. So I was doing some maths.
We'll let you keep on to your thinking, because you're going to pipe in whenever you see something happen that you didn't expect. Like we did say, around lap 20 to 24 is probably where we're going to see the first pit stop. That's what we're predicting. But safety car could change all that. Despite a couple of incidents already, luckily, most people have stayed out of trouble despite, everything that's happened. A couple of cars spinning. We've been pretty lucky in the first 10 laps of this race. So Scott up on screen at the moment. Shepherd just opens that gap up a little bit more. You can see it, 0.02 of a second this time round. Shepherd gets him on this lap number 10 it was. So I think he's just settling in there at the moment, waiting for his opportunity there. Scott, Shepherd doing a nice job out in front though, and they're the similar time. So last lap it was a 1:41.67 from Shepherd and a 1:41.69 from Scott. So they are so evenly matched. However, history in AOSC10 has shown that Scott has been right on the money when it comes to pit stops, and that's probably where he's had an advantage by hundredths of a second, sometimes tenths of a second, or a couple of seconds sometimes in that pit stop. He's been super consistent. Hasn't always been what he wanted. A couple of times we've had him on afterwards interviewing him. He said, I took too little fuel, had a fuel save at the end of the race. But look for him to trim the pit stop down and maybe do the undercut at that point. Maybe that's what he needs to hold out for. Just comfortably sit there for the next 11 laps, and when it's pit stop time, follow Corey in and just take a slightly shorter pit stop to get in front. No stress, no risk of damage, and do it the smart way rather than the hard way.
Absolutely, and we just caught a quick glance on the onboard shot there. It was very interesting to see he's already coasting on the run into the braking zone as well before he completes the down change. So that's just going to help save a little bit. Keep another look to it. The way he navigates his car off the corner, he's a little bit later on corner entry, tries to straighten it up a little bit more. This one didn't quite work out for him. Got a little bit of opposite lock on the car as he's trying to get it out of the corner there, but he's very cautious on trying not to excite those tyres. You can hear him feathering the throttle, and he's already coasting again. So he's trying to save that little bit extra fuel, maybe going to extend it one more lap.
And look at Thomas Hinton. He has now got past Kyle, or he's past Kyle Stokes. He's just gone past someone as well. So he's gone past Bradley Vaughan for P12, and looks like maybe they've gone back. I'm just having a look up here. Says he's in 13, so we check up a bit of a replay up on Thomas Hinton. And here it is. He's coming up on Bradley Vaughan. Oh, Vaughan. No, Hinton outbrakes himself, and smart thing there. Doesn't stay on the tyres too much to try and get that flat spot in him either. Gets off the brake and rolls through. Luckily, they did see Bradley Vaughan seen him that time, and they managed not to make contact. So that is fantastic. We don't want to see the safety car yet, but we do have bets on a safety car. So,
Yeah, it was a very close avoidance, and I can guarantee you, Scott or Stokes, would have only just seen him at the last minute, and there was just enough room in it to open the wheel and let him fly through. So, yeah, real brown pants moment there for those guys as they work their way through. This gap, first to second, really hasn't changed too much. It's sitting pretty stationary at the moment. Briggs, a little further back in sixth, did manage to get by on Brian Borg as well a few laps ago, so he's slowly working his way up with his teammate just ahead. And there's a few other good little battles further down the field, but this one at the front is going to keep us going all night long.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep looking at that one, I think, and to check out a replay now.
That was David Kidman running very wide on the exit of Sachs there, up in towards the centre of the circuit, and then gets a rotation around as well, just for a measure. I think that was Wade Sheedy who just clipped the back end down in through 15, and we'll redress that position and let them come back through. So potentially we'll see some form of a penalty there, but we'll wait and see how race control adjudicate that one.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. Michael Talanchis looks like he's still in 29th at the moment, a little bit further down, but a little bit of movement happening there in the timing screen. So they could be moving around a bit. Good to see Dyke is actually up there in 18th. So Jamie Dyke in the Fishy Motorsports entry. He's made 3 positions so far. Greg Sharp just behind him in the Coda Sim Sport. Just rounding out our top 20. Then it goes back to, obviously, Brenton Nitschke, David Kimmon, Wade Sheedy, and Tyson McAvoy. Jamie Dyke, though, the Fishy Motorsports entry, it's a great livery on this thing. I do quite like this one. We've had him on a couple of our photo finishes. We had him on one of those as well. So he's got a little bit of playtime there with us on the pre-show as well. He actually might be one of the guys would be good to have a chat with later on in the season as they get around. But currently sitting in 18th spot at the moment, the 080. Just behind Craig Ansbash, the tanked SRT entry, the number 10 car. So just in the top 20 at the moment, those two guys. Just having another look through the field, there's really a little bit of movement there. Michael Talianchis now looks like he may have moved up another couple of positions into 27. So he's on a bit of a charge as well. Just having a look. Riley Curtis was up quite a number of spots in the Mark 1 Esports car as well. Looks like he may have dropped down again. Harry Dodd's now up 11 positions. So we've check out a bit of a replay here. Up on screen, it's Riley Curtis in the Mark 1 Esports, and yeah, unfortunate for him.
Yeah, and another one down in towards turn 7 there as well. And this one just losing the rear end, just locking the brakes up on the run through that corner. So not a bad one. He will get back underway. Should have saved a flat spot on those tyres, so that won't hurt him too much either.
Yeah, you're not really going to want to do that with 14 laps in, aren't you? You've probably got, you could probably go in early at 18 or 19 if you do hurt the tyres and still sort of stay in that 2 pit stop strategy. But you don't want to hurt them now and have to go in early. It'll really, get you out of the rhythm and out of everyone else's pit stop strategy as well. It might be a good thing in the long run, depending on safety cars, if we have one and when they come out. But also, if we don't have one, we saw that last week. Was that our first round we haven't had a safety car? I mean, it was only a 150-kilometre race, but still.
Well, yeah, it was the first one we didn't have that. Sorry, Murray, as you were.
No, I was going to say it was the first round we haven't had a safety car, and also having the undercut strategy here might not be so bad. So I was late doing some maths, but here's sort of how it plays out. If you do pit early, you can knock about 2 or 3 laps off. As you can see, James Scott now taking that sort of a bit of a gap there with Corey Shepherd, but he may actually save himself 2 or 3 laps and be able to go longer into the race. He might want to come in 2 or 3 laps earlier and get that second stint underway.
How much do you reckon he can save? If he starts fuel saving now, Norrie, and like we say, he's already coasting in the corners and just sit behind Corey Shepherd, how much time can he save on fuel? How much fuel can he save and time really with refilling coming in the first pit stop?
I was calculating it based on laps, but he can definitely save 2 to 3 laps extra if he's coasting this much already.
Yeah, interesting. So he can do the undercut now and go a big stint in stint number 2, depending on what happens. That's an interesting strategy. He might be looking at that. You never know. His teammates could also be sitting in the background, helping him out with obviously helping him do the calculations online. As we look at Brian Borg, they're still on the back of the DPR simrigs.com guys, because Adam Briggs and Andrew Dyson just in front of him. Borg, he up 1 position in P7 at the moment, and they've got themselves in a nice little battle pack. So it's for position number 5, so it's 5, 6 and 7 up on your screen at the moment. But the DPR Simrigs guys, they've got their head around this new setup, and Briggsy was pretty coy about some of the stuff, some of the setup, even off screen when we were talking to him. He didn't want to give too much away, did he?
Not at all, and especially when you've got another couple of team owners in the box, they're having a chat as well. Not really too keen to share the trade secrets, and hats off to him. He gave us a good little bit of insight without giving away too much information at the same time. So they're very smart with the way he worded a lot of it. And I mean, they've had some troubles along the way as well. Let's remember back to Sonoma, where Briggs lost the engine on the downshift in towards the final corner there. So, they've had their own bad run of luck at times, but they've rebounded exceptionally well.
Yeah, the new build seems to be working for the DPR guys. They've got their head around that fairly quickly, especially with the other couple of guys that they do have in the team. As I've looked down there, of course, I'm trying to think where he was last week. He actually got up into about position 12 from memory. I might actually have a quick look at that one while you guys take over for a second. I was thinking Neil Pearson, that's who I was thinking of. Neil Pearson got 10 last week, so he got in the top 10 as well. So they're starting to get a couple of these other guys there, a little bit of data there for the DPR guys, and the more data you have, the more chance you can get the setup right coming into practice and make those final adjustments before qualifying. But look up on the screen though, your top 10 at the moment. Corey Shepherd still leading with James Scott just behind him. Pretty comfortably too at the moment. Jordan Ross is a little bit of a gap back to him in 3rd. Then it's Dylan Rudd, Adam Briggs, Andrew Dyson you can see up on screen at the moment with Brian Borg. Aaron Dodd in the NSR Esports is in 8th, and then it's Tom Freer and Bailey Frid in 9 and 10. So, and looks like Damien Johnson and Bailey Frid might be exchanging a couple of positions there as well. So, plenty going on behind Tom Freer. Yeah, just look forward.
Yeah, Bailey Freed looked like he was going to lose that position, but the way the track switches back there, it was an easy one to hold on to, and he's prevailed coming out of the final corner there.
Well, Fred's got a little bit of work to do because he is down 4 positions. He started out at P6, and like Dan mentioned, he's stationary for so long. It looked like he wasn't moving at all. He just sat there like a stone. But he's got a fair bit of work. Damien Johnson now going to cut down the inside. Can he make the move stick? Gets up on the inside with the left-hander here as they go through turn number 4.
There was a fair bit of panel going on in there, so that there wasn't a bit of concession, but we'll see at the end of the long straight here if it's going to be Bailey Freed under another dive attack from Damien Johnston.
Yeah, so much acceleration to it. You're going up, you're pushing all the way up as fast as you can go, and then it's this tight hairpin, so hard on the brakes. We've already seen a lot of lockups there, and I expect a lot more as people probably tire. I mean, a 1 hour race is pretty, can be tiresome, but a 2 hour race, 65 laps towards the end, tyres are starting to wear. We'll see how conscious the guys are and how fit they are in the sim.
Yeah, for a green tyre, they'll definitely stick through that flowing right-hander, but as the track comes to them and as the tyres wear on a bit, they will actually lose a bit of grip, so they'll need to think about going through flat through some of those corners.
Alright, so starting to watch out. We are on lap 17 at the moment as they go around. Corey Shepherd about to complete another lap. Doesn't look like they've made that into the pits. They are going to do another lap. Will we see someone come in early? This is the question. We're waiting. Norris done the calculations. Someone can come in a couple of laps early if they really want to, which could see them around lap 19, 20.
I think that's a pretty bold strategy, but at the way the race is going at the moment, you've got plenty of opportunity to be able to get in and get out. As you see, one of the tanked SRT cars, that's Chris Barnes, rejoining the circuit after an early stop. So it's a bit of a gamble for these guys at the front. They have to be cautious, though. As you can see in the top of the shot there, we have got some lap traffic just ahead for these guys to start contending with. Michael Schroeder, Henry King, and Nicholas Timor's just ahead. So those guys could become a little bit of a rolling robot block for the likes of Shepherd and Scott. This might be the push they need to come in the lane early.
It does give Shepherd the opportunity to do what James Scott has been doing for the past couple of laps and cruising into the corner, coasting into the corner, I should say, and saving that extra fuel. Could open up his second stint strategy-wise.
I tell you what, hard charger though, I need to start looking at Michael Taliencic because starting to make some positions. Looks like in the 777 Pursuit Sim Racing entry, working his way along. I'm just trying to see where he's up into 25 at the moment. So that's quite a number of positions where he started back in 44.
Yeah, he has had a very solid run, 19 spots. The other guy to keep an eye on, Henry Dodd, 13 spots gained for him, and the guy just ahead of Taliencic at the moment, Aaron Gilbert, who's just had a bit of a lock-up on the exit there, 12 spots gained. Actually, he's going to drop a spot, so we'll say it's 11 spots gained at the end of this one. But yeah, they're looking very good at the moment.
MT, mate, 20 positions now in 19 laps, so he's done a position a lap pretty much. As he'll complete this one. I don't think he'll get another one done this lap. So that's not bad. 1 position a lap, and he's still got 45 laps to go. So he can always make it to number 1.
Absolutely. I mean, he was a big beneficiary of that earlier lap 1 incident down into the hairpin that we saw. One of the Pursuit Sim Racing cars, there was a Coda car involved in that. So that helped him, especially coming off the very back row there. You see at the front, though, Scott's still trying to look for a way through, but you can see that he's starting to get in the mind of Corey Shepherd here. Shepherd very defensive down the middle of the road, trying to retain that position. So he's starting to really apply the blowtorch here, and we've got a couple of lap cars ahead. So Schroeder and King just ahead of these two now.
I just get the feeling from the attitude of how he's driving, though, James Scott, that he's pretty comfortable sitting in second because they have opened up a gap from the rest of the field. So there's no need to risk it. I know I've said it a number of times, but why risk it at this point? He can, like you say, coast, save a bit of fuel, do the undercut on the pit stop instead, where he doesn't really have to get entangled, put at risk, something happening, especially with so many laps left to go, Well, who's that? That's 531 there in the background there, and just getting a little bit loose there, and that's Henry King from the HJR. So you need to be careful about that too. Maybe it's better just to follow him through while you're going through his lap traffic. Not do anything rash, really. Just keep calm, keep on the back of him, and, you know, be smart about it.
Yeah, it's not like that we haven't seen Corey constantly out there in second, but it might be more comfortable for James, as you say, to follow him around and just, you know, copy the leader. That's all you need to do for this opening stint. It's a long race, 65 laps. You're not going to win it in the first 20.
Well, Jordan Ross is like quite a bit behind too. He's like 3.5 seconds. I think if Jordan Ross was on the back of James Scott, I had the feeling James Scott would be applying a lot more pressure. But the fact that they've separated from them, he doesn't have to get super defensive. He can just go along and do what he needs to do behind Corey Shepherd and let him set the pace as they pull away from the rest of the pack. Because Jordan Ross 3.8 seconds now, 4.2 seconds from Corey Shepherd back to Dylan Rudd. So, and they're going through lap traffic.
Well, they're not dropping any time at all, but let's not forget, I mean, while they are going through traffic, everyone else behind is going to have to still navigate their way through this traffic also. So, you know, that hasn't cost or been too costly for both Shepherd and Scott. How will Ross deal with it? He's got the 2 cars ahead. We did see them both step sideways for our race leaders. We would expect the same sort of courtesy for the guys preceding that, so look for them maybe just to allow them through. But I don't imagine that he's going to lose too much time based on what we've seen so far with the back markers.
Well, they've got a little bit of clear track, looks like, just in front of them now. They've got a couple of corners up their sleeve, but it's going to start to get into that pit stop territory. They're not going to be able to go too far past like 22, maybe a 2 or 3. Norris, would you say? Like, what would be the absolute maximum, you reckon, especially for James Scott, who we predict has been fuel saving?
So, because of the fuel save, he might have bought himself that extra 3 laps I was talking about. I don't think he would have got it that early on in the race, but he might have, so it might take it out to 24, 25, but that's at a push.
So it's not going to be too long till we start to see him come in, and interestingly enough, is that Brian Borg come in early. So Brian Borg in the pits now.
Yeah, Borgie is in pit lane.
Wow, so that's... Watch out for Brian Borg. He's been pretty smart about some of these. Like we say, it wasn't his week last week, and he's probably had a couple of rounds where it hasn't been super lucky for him, and him and Corey in the endurance got caught up in a bit of traffic there and had some incident races as well. But here we go, a bit of a move. What's Scott going to do? He puts the nose in too. He's going to do it. Gets the job done. Down into the hairpin and runs wide. Gives it back to Corey Shepherd.
Yeah, it was a smart move from Shepherd there. He kind of just lured Scott into that move, and James not able to pull that car up on the apex air and runs a little wide. So Shepherd, you know, while he's been out front, he had James looking at every opportunity to get through. Still played the smart card there and just sort of forced James into that little bit of an error.
Yeah, smart driving from Corey Shepherd. I mean, he's a young fella, but he definitely got a racing head on him at the moment, and keeping cool and calm and collected when you got someone like James Scott behind you just shows a lot of experience. I know they do a lot of sim racing, both Shepherd and Scott, but for someone Shepherd's age, it's fantastic to see that he can already see what's going to happen, do the smart thing, let him go by, and then get the undercut back on the inside. Here we go, into the pits, late entry.
Very late entry into the pit lane there. And it's not often a mistake you see from James Scott, just going back to that almost move at the hairpin. It's not often a pass you see doesn't come off for James, so he'll be using these extra couple of laps to get this job done.
I'm really interested to see what times he runs now. He's got clean air.
Absolutely, and you can already see just by the attitude of the car, he has released the shackles on this car. It was really wide through turn 1 there. We used all the curb and then some to try and get the most out of this time. We'll have a look at what his sector time is as he works his way up to sector 2. Last time it was a 22.48. We'll wait to see what he is able to set here, but he is definitely on a bit of a charge forward now, and he's going to need to make the most of it while Corey is in the lane. For reference, Brian Borg, when he was in for his stop, it was just short of a minute total transit time and pit stop, and James Scott just made another error down into the hairpin there. The covers sunlight has come away a bit as the cloud moves over and just outbraked himself again.
You think that might be something to do with setup, Norris? Maybe his tyres are starting to wear. Maybe he put a bit of wear on those in the first few laps, because Shepherd was P1 and he had to chase him down and make sure he held on to that second position at the start of the race.
Yeah, he might have worn the front tyre out, and it might just have scrubbed it so much that it's worn out and it's not giving him the grip he wants. But we'll see as he sort of gets around this circuit. If he makes that mistake a couple more times, he might have to readjust his braking marker.
Be interested to see if he comes in this lap, though. He might respond to what Corey Shepherd did. Oh, a little bit of a slide there for Scott, though, as it comes round. Comes around this final corner. No, he's not going to go pits. Like you say, he's going to go long, the long game. But it is only lap 22 at the moment. He should come around and complete that one and move on to lap number 23. As you predicted, he could have 2 or 3 laps extra up his sleeve at the moment. Could. But this is the strategy he's going with. Be interesting to see when we come down to the pit stops how long Corey Shepherd took in there and how long James Scott does when he comes in. That'll be the interesting thing.
Well, even looking at the times with that lap difference that we saw between Brian Borg and Corey Shepherd, it was a 2-second difference in the pit stop delta for these guys. So we're looking around 32 to 34 seconds total stop for these guys. We've got a myriad of cars in the lane right now. Jordan Ross, Andrew Dyson, Bailey Friggs in there, Johnson, Bradley Vaughan and Kyle Stokes all coming in to knock over their first stops tonight. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. David Kidman is just getting hung out to dry through Sachs Corner there as Dylan Rudd for NSR Esports moves that car up one more position.
Well, I tell you what, the man that's looking super impressive out of this at the moment is Michael Taliancic. While all these pit stops are happening, he's got himself up into 14th position, which is a 30 position improvement from where he started this race.
He's driven the wheels off this thing, and this has been a really good return to form for him. He struggled a little bit last week out at Sebring, but he has bounced back exceptionally well here. Still has the pit stop to come, so we are going to see him cycle back down through the field as that plays through. But you know, a driver who has been synonymous with eking out the longest fuel runs ever.
We're just having a look where James Scott has ended up, and he's still out in the front. Will he come in for the pit? He's coming around now. But just have a look. Yes, is Scott in the pits now by the looks of it?
Yes.
All right, leader is in the pits. Let's have a look at this one. You can see the pit lane times up on the right-hand side. So Scott and Briggs have just come in. Let's see what time they do. That's total pit time, not the time that's up on blocks, but the actual travel time included. It was a 101 for Shepherd. That's what we need to look at when it comes to Scott. Is he going to go faster than a 101.5? Can he get the undercut done? Shepherd's out on fresh tyres at the moment, and I'm just trying to see. He's just gone his outlap last time, so he hasn't done the indicative time, but he'll be up to race pace the moment Scott gets out of here, and looks like he is there. Shepherd coming around, closing that gap down. Eagerly watching these times down at Norris to see what happens there. Look, Shepherd's coming around. We know pit exit, though, is after turn number 1. Scott will be on the move now. Can he get the undercut done? No.
And actually, he's lost a handful of time off the back of this one as a result of those couple of laps longer run for him.
Yeah, that's not really what he wanted, didn't he? I mean, he's going to come back out behind Shepherd. Shepherd now has a nice little lead over him.
But he is going to be able to pull that back. I just heard a call over race control that safety car is being deployed as well. So this is going to bring him back into contention.
Wow. Safety car, why that has been deployed, that's going to be super important to find out as we have a bit of a look through. I'm just trying to see is the times up there. Now, what happens to the guys that have held out here, like Tom Freer? Does he now have the advantage in pit lane?
Not at all. He needs to get in now and get this stuff completed, but he is going to fall well down the field. So unfortunately, rolled that gamble of trying to push it as far as possible. Hasn't quite worked in his favour this time through.
Well, yeah, that's right. He should be coming in right now, and he just has entered the pit. So safety car has been deployed from race control, and that means everyone's starting to slow down. Tom Freer was leading the race before this. He took the long strategy, and he is now in pit lane. And it looks like he will drop back a number of spots from that number 1. But he was back in like 8th position, 7th or 8th position. So he may get back out somewhere.
Oh, and Shepherd just had a huge moment down in towards Sachs Corner there and ran it very wide off onto the dirt there.
Well, let's have a little bit of a replay because, you know, this is under safety car conditions and just a really wide there and off onto the dirt for Shepherd. It's lucky, isn't it?
We've got Shepherd and Scott making uncharacteristic mistakes. We're under safety car. Free has been, I'm not going to say slaughtered in the pits, but it does look like he's going to go backwards at a rate of knots. The race has gone off.
I don't know about Frere, whether it's going to go too bad, because Tom Frere was back in 7th or 8th from memory. Now, let's just see exactly where he does end. Oh, he has gone right back, hasn't he? I thought maybe they weren't quite that close together as they came round, but I suppose with Frere slowing down, with Corey Shepherd slowing down and James Scott, that's really hurt Tom Frere, taking that risk to go in the late pit stop. Borgie's done all right out of this, though. He's gone up to P5, so he was in a battle there with Andrew Dyson and Adam Briggs. So let's look at this one. That was a nice little battle they had going on for 5, 6, and 7, and Borgie was off the back of that in P7. He is now in P6, so they're obviously readdressing that as they make some now in P5. I'm just having a look at my timing string moving around. So Borgie, now he's moved up to 5 again. So I'll just wait to let that settle, actually.
Sorry about doing this shit.
How defensive Borgie can be when he needs to be.
Oh, he is not afraid to get the elbows out and try and hold on to those spots there. So rest assured, he will do everything in his power to hold on to that. And Dyson and Briggs are pretty cool, calm operators. They'll work their way around this where possible, but they're not going to do a stupid move to try and just send one up the inside.
So if Tom Frere didn't work out in the pit stop strategy, where was Michael Taliantis when this happened? Because he could be another one who was out on track, and this could have really hurt him as well. Because he was all the way up in the top 10, and we believe he is now back in 27th. So that's hurt him as well.
Yeah, it was a couple of positional loss, because I think just before he came in, as we saw, it was up around that 25th position mark. Actually, might have just got into 24th. So he's lost 3 spots there as a result, but he can go a little bit longer compared to everyone else around him. So he came in on lap 23. Rick Sibber, the car ahead, came in lap 12, so he's halfway through a stint, if not most of the way through a stint right now. Gilbert on lap 21 as well. So Taliantis have a little bit better tyre life under him, but this is going to, everything's going to cool right off for these guys now.
Well, just watch this in 8, 9, and 10 as well. You got Aaron Dodd in the NSR Esports entry, Damien Johnson in 9, and Thomas Hinds has now followed Damien Johnson up 5 positions. He's in 10 for Hinds. So nice little run for him, just playing it safe there. Like we saw Kyle Stokes almost got in the way of him and spun out in front of him early, but he's just been sitting back, playing it nice, cool, calm and collected. We are on lap number 25 of 65, so I'm just going to say it's a little bit over a third. So let's just think about a third. We've got 40 laps left in the race. We all predicted, bar Norris, 2 safety cars. Will we get another one? We don't know. But we've got our first safety car and it's bunched it all back up. So watch the top 10 to try and get away from this field. Bailey Frid is in 11 and he's been super fast as well.
I predicted a safety car this week, thank you, Matty.
Yeah, but you just didn't predict 2.
No, that's right. So this is it.
This is it.
I'm also hearing from the lane that Tom Free had a stop and hold. So that might have been what curtailed his run in the pit lane, why he dropped so far back. But I'm just chasing that one up for us.
Well, that's interesting. I know there was a bit of an incident earlier on, wasn't there, Dan, in the first couple of laps there, where there was a bit of panel touching, I suppose, from a couple of the guys there. And I know Tom Frere was involved in that. I thought maybe he was the receiver, not the giver on that one.
Yeah, well, we saw some big incidents lap 1 down in that hairpin there. So if it was a result of that, it's taken quite a while to filter through. But obviously, as you say, there was a lot going on at that point in time. We'll wait to see where that one actually was adjudicated from. So as Mr. No works his way down through the lane, I'm sure we'll get an idea on that one. But yeah, that has hurt him a little bit, and he should be able to work his way through. Frig is still trying to recover after what we saw, or the way he got that car off the line on the opening lap. Remember, he dropped 3 spots early on. So it's only gone down 5 spots in total. Still a lot of work for him to do if he wants to try and claw back up inside that top 10 now.
Well, Henry King's come into the pit lane, which he must have held right out, must be running on the smell of an oily rag there, and he's going to lose a heap of positions because he was up quite a bit, so he's moved down. One of the interesting things we haven't really touched on is the restart. So they can restart from, I think it's turn 13, just before the last couple of corners to come onto the main straight. That's when they can restart. Now, James Scott has been, impeccable when it comes to restarts. He is just always taken off at the right time. Never really been challenged in the first couple of corners for a restart. Now, can Corey Shepherd do the same?
Well, that's the big thing, and I was going to say, every time we've had those safety cars, it's been a role reversal. James has been the one leading the field. You can already see him; he's holding way off the back here of Corey Shepherd, so he's going to need to close that gap as the guys now come up into that stadium section. He needs to be careful here to see what Shepherd's going to do and whether he can try and make a move as a result of it.
I can see him closing that gap now. Maybe he's trying to get a little bit of a run on there. It could just be something like getting a little bit of fresh air into the front of that car too, keeping the tyres a little bit cooler. Could have been stuck under the back wing of Corey Shepherd, but here we go. The restart's got to be not far away. Safety car is coming in on this lap.
You would have seen on that the track graphic before that it's a 40-degree track temperature, so keeping those tyres optimal is priority for James Scott if he's got a chance to challenge in this one.
So watch them come round. Safety car should pull away on this lap. They are going into turn number 12, the little hairpin. There you go, the Jinx Shifters AMG will pull away now and start to head off into pit lane. It's all down to Corey Shepherd from this little kink onwards. Here we go, any time from now, Corey Shepherd can get this race back underway. James Scott gets back under there. A little bit of a gap back to Jordan Ross. Ross is going to have to watch these two in front as well if he wants to stay in the back. Dylan Rudd's ready for it. Borgie's off the back of that one. Andrew Dyson in 6th, Briggs in 7th, Aaron Dodd in 9th, in 8th, 10th is Johnson. Sorry, 9th is Johnson, 10th is Hins. Let's see how the restart goes on this one. Looks like they're single file. Borgie though on the outside, as it looks like Dylan Rudd may have been a little bit slow to react to that one. It's pushed Borgie back a little bit now. He's under. Dyson goes by as well. Here we go. We've got to run on, and following Dyson's going to be his teammate Briggs as well. Can they get it done? Borg on the outside, so he's going to be on the inside of the left-hander. He's pushed wide though. Will he hold on to this one? Dyson on the outside, still holding on that position, but he gets a wheel out in the grass. Now they're both sides, the DPR guys, they're trying to go around both sides of Borgie. What does he do here? Gets a little bit defensive there, but on the inside line, looks like Adam Briggs is going to go through in the Simrigs entry. Borgie's going to have the inside lining. Can he get up on that back pillar and try and make this move as they go into the hairpin? He wasn't really at full pace there as he gets the run, and again, he's got one car to the left and one in his right mirror. He's going to slot back in between them though. Back into 6th position, so he loses position on this restart, unfortunately, on the first lap. And Adam Briggs is the beneficiary of that in the number 72 Simrig DPR car.
Yeah, keep an eye there too. Aaron Dodd just hovering around in the back of that. He had a sniff to try and get through there as well. So, and that all started with Borgie trying to get a move done on Dylan Rudd off the line there, and just not quite being able to get it through. And then it ultimately hung out to dry. So for the Synergy guys, it was a quick move. We almost thought we would have seen. We did see some 2 and 3 wide action again off the restart. So boys aren't messing around, getting back up to pace.
What a view there from Andrew Dyson. It's on the back of Brian Borg. Now you can see his teammate out in front. Now we know they like to be 2 positions apart. Normally it's a 3 and a 5. So they've got a couple of positions to make up if they want to go to their traditional spots. But I'm sure Borgie is going to try and get that position back any way he can in this 0.17 car just in front. But you see a little bit of curb usage there. And now though, it looks like Adam Briggs has opened up a slight bit of a gap there at P5. Just pulled away from the boys. He'd be keen to get his teammate Andrew Dyson back behind him. Aaron Dodd waiting, I feel, in the background because he's got to watch out as well. Damien Johnson, who's been quick, and Thomas Hins in 10 are right off the back of him. So some little battles again. Once again, though, you know, it's Corey Shepherd and James Scott. They have opened up. They've got a second lead on everyone else already.
Yeah, well, the 2 out front have checked out. Shepherd last time by best lap of the race so far, 1:39.7. So we're back into that 39 territory again, which we saw in qualifying. Not quite there the whole way, but very, very close to see. Dodd just gets a little bit of a tap on the back of Dyson. Dyson able to straighten that up. So good recovery from them as they work their way up towards turn 8.
Yeah, we'll look at the sector time. Sector 1 seems to be where James Scott was. He's got the purple sector time, but Corey Shepherd, sector 2 and sector 3, where he seems to have a little bit more pace on that one. I'm just having a look. Everything's sort of happening there. We've got plenty going on. Locatelli Antic has gone up into P23, I do believe. Is that going to... So he's up to the opposition now. He's got a couple back already from the start of this race. Good to see him make some moves. Dylan Rudd, how good is this, though? He is up now in P4. Him and Jordan Ross were in a very similar situation last week. They were actually, you know, Ross was just leading Dylan Rudd, and I think it was 4 and 5. It might not have been 3 and 4, but they were sort of up in that top 5 region. And they had a power outage. So fingers crossed tonight that they can really come home strong in this one. I mean, Jordan Ross seems to have the pace over Rudd. Rudd did a fantastic job to hold out Adam Briggs at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, NSR have been on a huge charge forward over the past season as we keep an eye on this move here. Briggs trying to get down the inside, not quite close enough. He ducked back in behind as we have a look at the back suspension, getting a bit of a workout here. As they work their way down through turn 5 now. So the car's looking pretty handy at the moment, but NSR have found something in this car. I mean, they've done exceptionally well in other racing genres, GTs most notably, but they've come across to the supercar and taken to it very, very comfortably, and this has been a great run for Dylan so far. Hopefully he's able to keep this thing under him and work his way further forward up the field.
I have a feeling he's much like James Scott too. It's a very similar driving style. You can see a little bit shallower maybe on the entry, and then comes out a little bit wider and tries to get that run as they accelerate. Bit of a different driving style there. It's Scott right up on the back spoiler now. Look at Ross though. He's closing this gap down. I'm just going to have a look at what his time has done. Last lap, he is actually on pace with the front. So Corey Shepard ran a 140.46, a 140.29 for Scott, and a 140.26 for Jordan Ross. So he's not letting them get away, Ross.
Not at all. He is coming back. I mean, we saw him fall off a little bit in that opening stint. Yeah, the gap did extend out to about 4 seconds just before we saw the pit stops and then ultimately the safety car. So didn't quite have the total pace at the back end of that stint, but very competitive this time on. Hopefully he made a bit of a slight tyre adjustment, maybe a quick change to the bars in the car, and he should hold that spot pretty comfortably. He's already got a nice gap now of a second over Dylan Rudd just behind.
And looking at this, it was the fastest lap on the last lap actually went to Adam Briggs. We saw that because he closed that gap right up to Dylan Rudd at the moment, and he's all over the mirrors in the background for poor Dylan Rudd. It doesn't matter which mirror he's looking at. Adam Briggs is there. All he can see is that simrigs.com logo.
Yeah, what's more menacing, seeing the Simrigs logo, or knowing that the beard or that Briggs is right in behind you, the ginger assassin. He's going to come through and work his way through nicely. He's going to stick the nose out just again, let him know he's still hunting around. Keep an eye on the lines that these guys take through here. Very traditional, come right in on the apex, try and hold that wheel spin down to a minimum. Briggs a little bit of a hesitation trying to get the power down there on exit though.
He doesn't need to do anything silly at the moment because it's still a second to go back to Brian Borg, who's now locked in a battle with his teammate Andrew Dyson. So no need to risk it at this point. He is all over Dylan Rudd. It's waiting for that opportunity, and I suppose with the experience that Briggsy has, it's just stay there in the mirrors, put a little bit of pressure on him, see if he can just pull a little bit of a braking error or goes a little bit wide in the corner and just take that opportunity and get another move done and move himself up into P4. But currently sitting behind Dylan Rudd in P5 is Adam Briggs in the DPRsimrigs.com entry. As we go on board, what a great view there. He's hard on the brakes now as they come around the last couple of corners of this lap. Here we go, turn number 16 now. A lot of curb usage. Yeah, you've got to be careful on there, don't you? Put the throttle back down. You just don't want to excite those tyres, and all of a sudden you're oversteering the car and trying to hold on to it.
Absolutely. Just look at the way the wheel worked. He rotated that car through that final phase of the lap there. It was very, very smooth. We saw a couple of little hesitations and moments just from Dodd as he worked his way up in towards Sachs there, just through the middle of the stadium section. And that just allowed Briggs to close back in a fraction. So at the moment, just judging on the balance of these cars, the DPR cars, just maybe a fraction better on its tyres at the moment. But we'll wait to see how this one unfolds. Again, down in towards turn 7, Briggs sticks the nose out again. So he's just hovering around. He doesn't need to do this too much. You're going to have to be careful here not to get involved in anything. But very nice on the brakes there. And again, just struggling to get that little bit of traction down.
Well, we haven't seen a lot of successes. It looks like in the background, is that Fred? I'm going to get it right this time.
Yeah, Fred's past him.
Yeah, so has he got past him? Yes, he has. Yeah, you're right. He's gone past him. So he's gone back a position. So Fred back on the charge after that shocking start for him, unfortunately. He won't be happy about that in the Pursuit Sim Racing entry, and doing everything he can to make those positions back. He is back into 10th position now, started out of 6th, but he's got Damien Johnson to contend with, who has a little bit of a lead over him. Just a little bit of air time there between the two cars. I was having a look in the background before when we were at the front of the race, and I do notice like Brian Borg is also looked like he went a little bit wide on one of the corners, but Andrew Dyson's dropped off the back of him, off the pace a little bit. We get on board though Michael Taliancic, one of the big movers so far, up 23 positions. Like we say, uncharacteristic to have him back in P44, and it would be great to maybe message him after the race and find out exactly what happened there, because I don't remember seeing him out in qualifying actually.
No, I don't recall seeing a time actually set for it, which is very different compared to what we saw from everyone else in the team there. They all got out there and set some good laps. So not sure whether Michael just a little bit late getting in or just not really throwing it away. We know 300 Ks is a long way to get through, so you don't need to try and make the most of it in the quali, but just clean, consistent driving to come back through the field, which is what he's done tonight. And 23 spots already through the event. Well, not even halfway or just short of halfway. He's definitely on a charge to work up toward maybe that top 10.
Something's happened to Fred, because about 30 seconds ago I watched him drop back 2 positions and then come back once. So Hinds is actually back with the 10.
Race control ordered he redress the position back to car 25, which is Thomas Hinds. So not sure why that was ordered, but chasing that one up for you.
It might be something we saw in that hairpin turned up 6 a bit early in the background. We can check out the replay here of what that race incident was. You see that's actually pretty in front of Hinds at the moment with Vaughan behind. That's the redress there actually, I think we can see. And I tell you what, if you're Bradley Vaughan, you're going to do that, aren't you? You're going to follow Hinds, especially if you know there's a bit of a redress going on, and try and split that, make yourself a position, make it a bit hard for Fred to get by. But he's definitely got some race pace for Fred. Watch he should get that position back over Hinds, I would say, get back in the top 10. Aaron Dodd doing it nice. Here we go. We're going to have a look at Tom Frere now, who's just been unfortunate again tonight, holding on earlier for that late pit stop that's put him back. Now let's see how he goes in this one. Does a bit of a move, gets in under brakes, it's on the hairpin, locks it up, makes contact too, which is, obviously, is that Craig Anspatch he's made contact with. That's super unfortunate, the Tanked SRT entry for Anspatch. Really the innocent victim in that one.
Yeah, and that's an easy thing to do. I mean, we've seen it already tonight, quite a few guys either overshooting the run in or just applying that little bit too much brake pressure. And a lot of these guys run a huge amount of brake pressure in the rear to try and help rotate the cars through. So that just caught him out just a fraction there. And Frere, again, having maybe not the best running, was right there through qualifying. I mean, we saw him starting 5th position tonight. He's already dropped 13 spots as Adam Briggs finally gets that move completed on Dylan Rudd. This will be a chance now for Dylan to try and redress serve here.
Yeah, it didn't look like he put up too much of a fight there, did he, Rudd? Just having a look at the front 3 though, and I did mention a little bit earlier as Jordan Ross was setting some blistering times to keep up with these at the front. Now check this out for last lap. A 1:41.31 for Shepherd, a 31 for Scott, and a 32 for Jordan Ross. How close is that in the top 3?
You can throw a towel over the top 3. There's absolutely nothing separating them on raw performance here at the moment. And Shepherd's still doing this with the huge amount of pressure that Scott's applying on the back end there. And for Jordan, he's just able to sit back. He's got the best seat in the house tonight while these two out front fight it out. And he's just holding station here at the moment. If there is something that does come as a result of contact between both Shepherd and Scott, he's going to pick up big here.
Well, we're only talking hundredths of a second, but it's a 1:41.23 for Briggs, so he's probably the fastest one. I'm looking at the timing screen on that last lap. A 25 was Dylan Rudd, and Aaron Dodd was a 24. For the NSR Esports guys, whatever they've done, the setup's working for them. But Adam Briggs is the mover at the moment. He's just done a 1:41.18. The only person to match him is James Scott with 1:41.17. So a little bit slower. James Scott, a couple of hundreds over Corey Shepherd, and they've just pulled away from Jordan Ross there as well because he's done a 1:41.30. So we're talking tenths and hundredths of a second per lap. But watch Adam Briggs on a hard charge.
Well, now that he's got a little bit of clear space in front of him with the second and a bit gap between himself and Jordan, he's going to be able to really extend this out. He was a little bit quicker last time through in Sector 1. It was actually 5 hundredths of a second quicker through Sector 1. Again, 2 tenths quicker in Sector 2. Actually, so that was the last lap. It was a little bit quicker Sector 2. So we should be able to see him, again, take more time out this time. The gap hovering just over a second to 1.1 seconds between himself and Jordan Ross ahead.
Well, we just passed the halfway mark in race number 185 here at Hockenheim in Germany. It's round number 10 here for the AOSC. Season number 10, so it's 10 for 10 tonight. and we're on lap 34 of 65, so just past the halfway, and it looks like that battle is still going on for P10 between Bailey Frid and Thomas Hinds, but Bailey Frid has got the move done in the Pursuit Sim racing car, and it's back up into P10, but I did see that change a couple of times, so they got a nice little battle going on. But Adam Briggs is up on his screen at the moment, and this is what's interesting. He's got past Dylan Rudd, he's got some free air, and watch this, he's catching up by hundredths of a second, sometimes tenths, just little bit by little bit. And watch this over the back of Jordan Ross. It's been look at this, nearly 1/10 of a second, just over 1/10, and now almost just under 2/10 of a second on the last lap. So just chipping away at that P3 and seeming to get on the back of the lead train, really. And surprisingly enough, James Scott hasn't really put himself out there. We know it didn't really work out with the pit stop strategy there. He went the long game, did a couple of extra laps before coming in the pits. Did not work for him. Corey Shepherd got the undercut on him there, really coming in a little bit early, and has maintained the lead in this race. So virtually Shepherd has led from the start after qualifying P1.
Corey's done a stellar job. He's really looked after the tyres nicely. He's managed the fuel exceptionally well, and with the pressure that just continually being applied by James behind, he hasn't buckled to it yet. As you say, we're only just over halfway, so still a lot of racing left in this one to go, but we'll wait and see how that goes. As further down the field too, Dyson and Dodd having their little fight. It's almost like the second little group of these guys, because Borg now under a big amount of pressure, trying to hold off Dyson just behind Dodd will come into the fray on that one as well. And actually we might even see Damien Johnston close up in that second little group. So it's really starting to heat up here at the front.
Well, I was actually more excited about Damien Johnson and P9 there, because he is just, that gap back to Aaron Dodd is closing. So Dodd was sort of, I think, he looked like he was sitting there waiting for Borgie and Dyson just to have their little battle and see how that ended before he put his nose in it. But now he's got Johnson all over the back of him. He's going to have to decide what he's doing here, Aaron Dodd, because he's run some really good times there. And it was only a couple of laps ago he was probably the third fastest of that lap. So the car definitely has the pace there as we watch Dyson go a little bit wide there. Borgie will get the run out of this one. Oh, he just puts a nose in there, doesn't he, Dyson? Let's Brian know he's there. Brian just not quite on the racing line, a little bit defensive there. Just makes it a little bit hard, so he has to come really on the dirty line of the racetrack and really put those pressure under brakes. Maybe, I suppose you've got to do that, don't you? Because if Dyson cuts down the inside, gets on the dirty side of the track, locks the brakes up, you just undercut him back on the inside. Here you go, Borgie, real defensive though. We haven't seen it really work when people have done the dive on the inside here at the hairpin turn 6. They've always locked the brakes up. Will it work for him here? Because the run looks like it's going to be to Dyson, although he does spin the wheels a little bit there on the acceleration. Look at Johnson though, all over the back of Dodd. Right up under that rear spoiler. This has slowed Dodd down quite a bit. So we're just having a look there. Looks like Dodd may have just come into contact. Dyson, a bit of a lock up there too. Was that Brian Borg, maybe? I think that is, because Dyson's going around. He's on the outside. Can he hold on to this one? He gets the actual position. He's got the nose in front. Borgie on the inside though, this right-hander. They're going down to turn number 11. Oh, he goes wide. Dyson, Dodd in the background. Johnson all over the back of him. What a great battle this is. And this is only for P6 at the moment. It is all happening back for P6. We can throw a towel over P1 to 4. You got Dylan Rudd sort of in the middle, and then we can throw a towel over P6 to P9. What a race this is here at Hockenheim in Germany. Bit of a slide there from Borgie. Dyson, can he take advantage of this one as they complete another lap? We move on to lap number 37 now. Dodd holding his own in the NSR Esports there in position number 8, and this is the view from the front of Andrew Dyson now over Brian Borgs. They come down under brakes. Got to remember, you go right, then you get a left-hander. So if you get on the inside here, you're then on the outside. He's on the outside now. Borgie, it looks like Borgie goes a little bit deep under brakes. Dodd going to try and push his way through. Dyson holds onto this one. Can he hold it? 3 wide at the moment. Off on the grass for Dodd. It's a risky move, but it might pay off for him here in the left. Oh, Johnson, we're going to go 4 wide. How good is this? The battle for P6 at the moment. Oh, the brakes. The Borgie's going to lose out of this. He's going to lose 3 positions in one corner.
And Johnson really managed to pull that off as well and get an extra spot. That was a huge run for all 4 guys there.
Is that SV Johnson? Is that what that is? It's not SVG anymore, it's SVJ. Gets 2 positions on one corner.
That was a hell of a run there, and great driving from all those guys there. No one put a fender into anyone, and they all just gave each other just enough room either to trip over themselves or to get it done. And Dyson with that magnificent beard. Just gets it through. He's used all the power of that to help pull him through. Johnson again around the outside, and was 3 wide heading up in towards Sachs corner. This is still on for young and old. Look for Dodd here to try and get back down the inside if he can keep in with this train. We've got a lap car just in the back there. I think that is Chris Barnes, who we saw just coming out of the pits just as this lap commenced. So he's not trying to get involved in this. And Dodd now down the inside. He's going to retake that spot over Johnson.
Are we redressing ourselves, are we here? Like, we've let Dyson go by. And look, Dyson, if you look at his teammate there, Briggsy, they've got the car set up at the moment. They've got some super pace in the DPR Simrigs guys. So we go back to Borgie, Aaron Dodd, Jamie Johnson. They've basically gone back into those positions. I feel for Aaron Dodd because I thought he took the risk up there going up through turn number 5 there, got 2 wheels on the grass almost, and it just didn't quite work out for him, unfortunately. And Johnson really had the undercut, but Borgie, what a drive to get his position back.
Drove the wheels off that thing. I wonder how much is taken out of the tyres now as you see him go again very defensive. We're going to see Johnson get a sniff in here. He gets a huge run under the draft. He's going to force it down the inside there.
I think Johnson may have just put a bit of pressure on his front splitter there, and Johnson now moved to the side. Maybe that's a redress there. I don't know what Johnson's doing because Borgie has run off the back. But this might get a bit of a reprieve now for Aaron Dodd, who has just been patiently waiting. Borgie now, look at the run down. Considering he went right off the track, to get back into this battle, that's a nice effort there from Borgie. And now, does he get the move done? Is he going to get 2 positions? Oh my God.
The brake lights from Aaron Dodd was, I don't want a part of this. I don't want a part of this. I would have gunned it.
Oh, what a battle this is now. This is pit 7. Damien Johnson has ended up with it. He's got himself 2 positions. He was back in P9 just a lap and a half ago. He almost got the magical 3 positions in one corner, but he's managed to get 2. He's had a bit of a fight with Borgie. They've gone back and forth. Aaron Dodd was involved in that. Now Damien Johnson looks like he is going to cement that P7 as they settle it down a little bit, and Aaron Dodd just gets back in the groove behind Brian Borg to see if he can make a move as well, because it looks like Borgie's just falling off the pace a little bit now as we go into lap number 39.
Yeah, we did hear there too. There was a call from Brian just as that all unfolded, where there was a little bit of contact down almost into this exact same spot as we watch James and Corey continue it. We have heard from race control now. Johnson does need to redress that position with Borgie. So we'll see this fight recommence again once this was all taken aback. As James Scott now down the inside. We saw this move didn't work for him before, and again, didn't work for him this time. He's almost going to lose another spot there to Jordan Ross.
I do admit I had to look up and see if the replay sign was up then, because apart from Jordan Ross in the background, that was nearly an identical replay to what we saw in the first stint.
Absolutely. The only difference being you've got Jordan in there, and you've now got Adam Briggs involved in this one as well. So those guys, we're going to see them come in and amongst it as that redress for Johnson has now taken effect. He now falls in behind Aaron Dodd. So he's lost a couple of spots as a result of that little incident down into the hairpin there. And they've got all to do again.
And now look who's lurking in the back. And we got Corey Shepherd back in front now. So Shepherd's taking it back. Jordan Ross is there. Briggs is all over the back of Jordan Ross. This could be the same battle we just saw for P6, but this is P1. So Corey Shepherd and James Scott are just battling out for that P1. We've seen them change positions there in this lap. Scott had the lead for just a couple of corners. Shepherd's managed to get that back. Was one corner really under brakes. But Jordan Ross just off the back, and it looks like him and Briggsy have just got a little bit unsettled there while they watch these two battle it out in front. I don't know if you want to get involved in this. I mean, do you let it play out, or, you know, I think Jordan Ross would definitely put his nose in it. When it comes to championship, although Jordan Ross is still in the mix there, unfortunately for him, he has dropped back quite a bit after not finishing a couple of races there for Jordan Ross. So he really doesn't have much to lose when it comes to championship points in this one.
Not at all. He needs to have a crack here. Sorry, Darren.
No, if you remember back to the pre-show, we look at this move happening again. Briggsy also, Briggsy hasn't had a win, so he wants to win too. They're all in this. They all want to win.
Look, I'm super impressed with the DPR setup, and I think they've got the race setup on point. I mean, much like we said with Thomas Hinds in the pre-race show, he just needs to get that qualifying run in. I had the same feeling for the DPR Simrings guys. If they could just qualify second or third or something, I would expect to see them maybe take it to James Scott and Corey Shepherd. I mean, unfortunately, though, we've seen them start a little bit further back. Adam Briggs started out of P7 and now he's on the back of this lead train where the top four are within, just a couple of tenths of a second. We see him there just in the background there. Dylan Rudd slides the car around. So he's sort of nowhere, isn't he? We've got this great battle going on for P1, and it's P1 to P4 are all you can throw a towel over him. Dylan Rudd's got some clean air in the background of P5, and then Andrew Dyson now is starting to come through, but we did see Dyson, Borg, Dodd and Johnson. You can throw a towel over them for a number of laps as well. So Dylan Rudd just playing nice and safe there in the NSR Esports car, having that little bit of room to himself, as we can see now Brian Borg in the lead of this little train. And Bailey Frid is now right up on the back of the Pursuit Sim Racing entry in P10. He has closed this gap up, so we're going to have another battle for P7 between these four.
Well, yeah, and this battle again for sixth starting to come back, or seventh position starting to heat up again. Borg still back out front following the little incident in the redress. Dodd has now got himself in there. Bailey Frid has managed to latch onto the back of this train as well. And remember, he didn't get a great start at the beginning of the race, but he is working his way back through, sitting on the top 10 at the moment. So he's 4 spots to go, as there's another change of position up the front here. James Scott will get this move completed this time through, and Briggs also trying to get the move similarly done on the back of Dylan Rudd.
Well, Briggs, what can he do? Scott, though, can he hold on to this one? Looks like he might get it done this time round. It's going to be hard to get by, because I think maybe he's just had a little bit more pace. It's just not enough to make the move, and he's been waiting very patiently, but he had to do something, because Ross wasn't going to sit back there for much longer, because he's got Briggs all over the back of him. Shepherd, though, is going to have to put a lot of pressure on James Scott, and we have seen James Scott make errors already tonight, and we've seen Corey Shepherd make an error. Weirdly enough, that was behind the safety car where he went off, so maybe just a slight moment where he's looking at his relative or checking out another screen, checking out something else where he went off before the safety car came out. But we know James Scott has made errors. He is human, he is not robotic. He does make these slight little errors. Can Corey Shepherd really put the pressure on him in this race? He did come in a little bit later, so he's got a little bit of fuel up his sleeve as well.
Well, yeah, and remember all the way back to Watkins Glen, we saw the first chink in James Scott's armour there, where we saw that big moment down and through the bus stop. He had that car 4 wheels up in the air as he rebounded the car back in towards the carousel there. So he has had a couple little moments, and we've seen again, like you said, Matty, tonight down in towards turn 7, just missing those brake markers a fraction. So we'll see what he can do. He's already starting to build a little bit of a buffer. It's 0.4 of a second as they head there up towards the hairpin. The other thing to consider now, we're only about 2 to 3 laps away from the next round of pit stops coming through.
Well, right now, though, Jordan Ross needs to do something, so does Adam Briggs, because they can't let James Scott get away. If they do that and we don't have another safety car, he will go. It'll be really hard to catch him. We look at the last lap, he did a 1:41.57 to a 1:42.02 at Corey Shepherd, although we do know Corey Shepherd got pushed out in that hairpin in turn number 6, and that's where James got the move done, and a little bit smarter that time. He held out the inside and really made Corey Shepherd go wide, although they gave each other racing room. Probably a smart passing opportunity there, and just to leave it that a little bit later in the corner as well.
Absolutely, and we'll keep an eye to see how this goes. I did see a little bit further down into 17th position, and now up 27 spots, Michael Taliancic. So he is continuing the fine run forward up through the field, now well inside that top 20 again. He should be able to get himself maybe in towards maybe top 15, definitely in towards the top 10 as the race works through its conclusion. But since Scott's been released now out front, he's been able to make a little bit of a gap. And similarly, Corey Shepherd, who was once the cork in the bottle, has started to get through now on Johnson. We do hear a very late safety call as Brian Borg now drops into the lane along with Bailey Frid. So that's going to pay massive dividends for those guys. Yeah,
so they're all starting to go in now. So that little pack have all gone into the pits. That little race for P number 7, and Damien Johnson is the only one who's decided to stay out for that one.
Yeah, very interesting move there from Johnson. He came in lap 22, so he is not that far away, but he has managed to get around on the safety car, so expect him to come through this time by as safety car now waiting out on track to collect everyone. Our lead bunch of 4 working their way through turn 7 down to the outside of the stadium section here, so those guys should be able to come in and out and get that stop done, should hold position.
Yeah, being at lap 43, this is right at the end of that fuel load for these front cars that did stop early on, so this helps everyone from Borg back who stopped, and I'm not sure how it's going to hurt James Scott, Corey Shepherd.
Yeah, interesting. Do we actually know why the safety car has been deployed? Is there did we missed an incident there that's not up on our screen, maybe, guys? No, we're that's all right. We'll find out exactly what's happening. But safety car has been deployed. So it was around lap 24 we had a safety car and 43. Now Tom Freer really got hurt by the safety car last time, and I'm trying to see where he has ended up. Like I've got him down in. I'm just waiting to see because it's moving around on my screen at the moment. Where have you got Briggs happening,
Briggs
mate?
was all locked up into the lane, so he was well wide of the cone.
And they're in. So our leaders are in, and what we're talking about here was we had a little battle pack going on earlier. So Michael Taliancic, he's impressive, super impressive again, but he's going to have to come in the pitch. I think he'd have to there. He started out at P44 and was up to 17 before, which is about where he should come back out, and we see him move in the 777 car. And earlier I did think, oh, big lock up of the brakes there too as he comes in to try and pull that up on speed. Everyone behind him had to watch out. So the safety car just sitting there waiting for everyone to deploy themselves from pit lane.
Scott's down and away.
Wow, that's pretty quick from him. I'm just having a look. 28 seconds up. That's 2 seconds over Jordan Ross. Corey Shepherd. Oh, that's 5 seconds.
4 seconds over Shepherd.
Wow.
So he is really rolling dice here. Let's not forget, though, he did come in that 2 laps later, so he probably has that fraction more fuel in the tank. And I remember when the first round of pit stops came through, Borg, who was our first stopper, he had a 2-second differential over Corey Shepherd when they came back through the lane as well.
Well, this is going to be interesting to see whether Jordan Ross can stick with James Scott on the restart of this one. Dylan Rudd, I'm just seeing where he is going to come back out. Looks like he's in the background about P5, or those cars in the mix. They might be lap cars. We'll see if they get a wave around. Okay, so we're just hearing that Briggs has been in the lane for quite some time, who was in 4th position on the back of that pack, and he was the 4th guy he could throw a towel over. We believe he did have a big lock-up coming into pit lane and may have overshot there like Norris saw and missed the cone. So we're going to speculate a little bit there, and he was stationary for over a minute. We're going to speculate that possibly something has happened to him with race control maybe or something. So we'll just wait to hear till we get a definite on that one for Briggsy, but that's going to be unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it's going to take a really strong contender out of this fight for the lead here. And as you say, I think that time would have been an iRacing imposed speed penalty there. So a big shame for him there. He now comes back into the 18th position. So a lot of work for him to do to work his way back through. Michael Taliancic came back at 16th position, so still gained 28 spots so far, as we see the wave around cycling through before we get back under green. So some pretty big movers and shakers. Brad Ratsu is still trying to recover after his earlier issues. We saw him drop well down the back of the field, now down in 26th position. So some guys still trying to recover their way through, but we're going to have a cracking 20 laps to conclude this race.
Tell you what, you've got to give it to Michael Taliancic. If we had a hard charger award for this round, it definitely, at this point, would go to him. Yeah, we don't want to give it away too early, give him the commentator's curse, but 28 positions in 44 laps. That is super impressive. And it's not like he's done it with, it's probably not like the safety cars come out at an optimum time and he's been lucky or anything like that. He's just done it through some pure skillful driving and a lot of aggression out there on the racetrack, but he's kept it pretty clean too, so we haven't really seen him involved in any incidents either. So great drive from him to come up 28 positions in 44 laps there for Michael Taliancic in the Pursuit Sim racing car. And if he can make a top 10 finish, hats off to him.
Absolutely, he will do exceptionally well there. And I mean, he's got some tough guys ahead of him now. We've got Greg Sharp just ahead, Jamie Dyke, Thomas Hinz, Tom Freer, Kyle Stokes further ahead. So it's not going to be an easy run for him now to work his way through. Expect the elbows to come out a little bit, but he's been very clean and working his way back through this field.
Have a look at Greg Sharp. I mean, he started out of P18. He's only P15, but nice to stay in there when we've seen a lot of cars moving around and a few incidents sort of in that 10 to 20 mark. So the Dakota Sim Sports entry there with the big Penrite batter on the side, Greg Sharp having a good night in the number 747. Seems to be like he's quite comfortable. The car setup coming along for the Dakota Sim Sports guys. He looking pretty comfortable out there on track. Jamie Dyke is up 7 positions. Thomas Hinds, he's dropped back to 13th now. So he's up a couple of positions from where he started though. With Jamie Dyke and the Fishy Motorsports entries in P14, he started out at P21. So another impressive mover.
Definitely, and I mean, these guys are all trying to get up the points. There's still a long way left to go in this championship, so every position, every extra little bit of points there, going to gain you that little bit further up through the field. So they're all vying for a good finishing position to conclude this, what has been an outstanding season so far.
Well, let's see how they go. A couple of people who did not look like they went into the pits. I'm just trying to see. I know they did go and grab some pit stops there. I was just waiting for the timing screen to go up. Johnson has gone in and Frid. Now, did they actually go in the pits?
Yes.
Yes. I was just double checking that up on my screen. So they've actually done very well out of this one as well.
So what I thought was going to happen when the safety car was initially called and Borgie and Frid made that jump, as you can see on the timing board, it's lap 42 for them making that jump. I thought the safety car was going to pick up the leaders initially straight away. They actually waited the extra lap, so everyone was on the same lap to be picked up.
Wow, so that's why they've got the advantage out of that one, and that's super important for Fred, because he started out at P6, he's now at P7. So important that he gets back there, and you see James Scott, he is the king of restarts in AOSC, and just a nice little gap there to the safety car, but Jordan Ross will need to close that down. Did we see anything about safety car coming in this lap, guys? Or
yes, safety car is returning to the pit lane this lap.
Well, we've got a couple more corners to go, remembering that he can get started anywhere out of turn 13, all the way around to down to the start-finish lines where he can start this race. We're just coming out of turn number 16, so it's not too far away. You can see he is going to come down the back straight down to the Mobile 1 curve, which is turn 11, then they'll go into the turn 12 hairpin, and then just as we go through that left-hand kink, James Scott can start the race anywhere from there as our safety car, the Jinx Shifters safety car, now leaves us. We're on lap 45, we've got 20 laps left to go. They're all fueled up, they've all got fresh tyres. There is no need for any of these cars to stop for the rest of this race. We are set. The positions you see is what they need to battle out for. Look at all over the back, Dyson. Now he's holding up the DPRSimRigs.com team, and they've definitely got the car pace. The big news is, out of those pit stops, Jordan Ross got the jump on Corey Shepherd in the Mr. Antenna car, who's now back in P3. Here we go. Scott to restart this race. So 20 laps left to go. And here we go. Full acceleration. Uses all of the curve on the outside, and we are single file. Let's see who goes to the dive on this one. It's going to be Dyson. Puts the nose out there, but has to slot back in behind Rudd. Scott with a nice start. Jordan Ross, here we go. 2 wide now, and it's Aaron Dodd on the outside. Bradley Vaughan on the inside. Who's that up in front? Frid now looking for a move as well. You can see him weaving all over. Johnson has to be defensive on this one. Frid's on the outside. Ball could take advantage of this one in P8. We see him back there in the 017 blue car. Damien Johnson, though, goes wide, and Frid will go back in behind now. In the background there, I can see plenty going on. Looks like Kyle Stokes, Tom Freo, all those guys sort of involved in some stuff. Thomas Hinds has moved up a position. Bradley Vaughan was on the outside at some point there. Here we go on the inside, though, being defensive. James Scott. Oh, no, Jordan Ross is going to go around the outside. How will he go? Corey Shepherd's going to get right back under James Scott, but he can't close that gap down, and Jordan Ross will slot back in. So already Jordan Ross putting all the pressure on. Here we go. Frid on the inside, Borgie on the outside, but we go around. We've got plenty of runoff in that area. As you can see in the background there, who's that? Is that Stokes? Looks like he's going to get the move done over Dodd. It's all happening. Dodd on the outside, though, back in front. Can he hold on to this one? It looks like he will as they go down the right-hand corner. He's on the right side of the track. So Kyle Stokes taking a few risks as well in the background in the 888 car. And he's down the inside now under brakes. Well, he's having a go, isn't he? They're trying to chew up these tyres, boys.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic start for everyone getting away early on. We've seen some big moves and a few that didn't quite pay off. Vaughan had that huge moment on the exit of turn 3 there. Fortunate enough to gather it up, and we didn't see any further issues as a result of that. But James Scott has not had an easy getaway like we've seen traditionally. He has been held or been kept very honest at the moment by both Jordan Ross and Corey Shepherd in behind. Dylan Rudd just dropping off just a touch here, but when it is only lap 1 after the restart, they've got to get the tyre temps back into the window. We'll see these guys continue their way through. Talyancic and Greg Sharp still looking pretty handy. Briggs already up a spot there as he tries now to get himself back in towards the top 10 also.
Yeah, Michael Taliancich still holding 28 positions up from where he started in P44. He's now in position number 16 and having a fantastic night in the Pursuit Sim Racing entry. As we can see him up on screen, he's got someone on the back of him though. He just needs to be careful there. Jordan Ross though is in P2, so he got the undercut done there on the pit stop, which was on lap 43. So a couple of laps ago, we restarted the race on lap 45. With Jordan Ross in front. He kept James Scott pretty honest there for the first lap, but Scott now seems to have pulled away. We look at the last lap, a 1:39.72 from Scott, a 1:39.99 from Ross, and a 1:40.08 from Corey Shepherd. So the top three all very evenly matched. As we go back to Adam Briggs. Now, he came in hard on the brakes, went past the cone and got a penalty there in pit lane and had to stay up for a little bit longer in pit lane due to a speeding infringement. As we check out a bit of a replay here, Michael Taliancich as Adam Briggs gets the job done there. So that's why he is all the way back, Adam Briggs. He was actually up in P4.
Yeah, had a nice clean move there from Briggs down on the inside, on the outside, took the racing line, and Taliancich just opened the door and allowed him to rotate through there. As Briggs now all on the back of Greg Sharp, the 747 Custom Sports car. So work their way second to last corner, into the final corner now. And Briggs looking very racy. He's able to hold a slightly tighter line on exit there, and he's going to be looking at a run, maybe either into one or down in towards turn two. He's got the car halfway up the inside here and should get this move completed, and as he does there, nice move from him.
Yeah, I think some of the drivers there definitely know. Oh, Taliancich getting the move done as well. Taliancich taking full advantage of there. He's going to follow Briggs through. Probably not a bad move from Taliancich, actually. You know Briggs was up in P4. The DPR guys have definitely got the setup right on the cars when it comes to race conditions. If you're Michael Taliancich and you don't quite have that pace, what do? Get back under that rear wing, I suppose, of Briggs and just follow him through and let the freight train do its job.
I was actually going to make that comment that Taliancich being your hard charger tonight, it was also a smart operator because he knew that Briggs was P4 before that safety car mess up, and he basically said, yep, go on through and I'll follow you through the rest of the pack. So Taliancich making a concerted effort to move his way up the grid tonight.
Looks like Christian Smart and Craig Anspach have a little bit of a battle going on down there for P21 as well. I can see they're changing a few positions around, so something going on down there in P21. Good to see plenty of battles going on throughout the field as we get on with Jamie Dyke there. And then just in front of Dyke is Bradley Vaughan, who's sort of been lurking around that P10 position there. He started out of P11. He's back in position 13 at the moment. Thomas Hinds just in front of him. But Jamie Dyke in the Fishy Motorsports entry on the back of this little train sort of goes Dyke in front of Bradley Vaughan. Then really close together is about 6 cars. It goes Hinds, Freer, Stokes, Dodd, and I'm not quite sure if Frid's there, and Borgie's at the front of this one. So Borgie's holding up the train, I can tell you. He's the engine for this freight train here. We've got him about 7 positions.
Well, he is here, and while this actually bottles up, this actually is going to work out very nicely there for Adam Briggs just at the back. He's going to close right in on this, and he's going to find that he'll be able to claw himself well back into contention. As we see a little bit of 3 wide action down into turn 2 there. They're 2x2 working their way in. Hinds in the middle of that fight actually drops the spot there to Kyle Stokes on the inside, as Vaughan now getting involved in it as well. Briggs is now close up on the back, so look for him to make a move down in towards the hairpin.
Wow, Tom Freer has to slot back in. On the outside, though, you see Dodd. Dodd moves a position there. Freer goes back in the racing line. Dodd on the inside. Oh, there's a brake lock up there from Borgie as well. That's not good. Freer locks up. We can see smoke everywhere from all the tyres. Really struggling with that hairpin tonight. Almost everybody's had a lock up there at some stage. Now it's Hinds on the inside of Bradley Vaughan. Can he get the job done there? Vaughan in P11, so he's made up 2 positions. He was back in P13 just before. He's made up a couple of positions this last lap. Freer slides the car out too. Looks like Dodd's going to get that move done. So Dodd will move up into P9 now. Freer now back on the inside. They run down this little back straight. Heading down to turn 11. Lock up there. No. Oh, Dodd now nowhere to go. Pushes him out. Oh, we'll leave that one for race control. Briggs in the background though. Look at him starting to make his way up into P12 now, and he's on the outside of what looks like Stokes. So Briggs and Stokes now in a battle, but Briggs has moved up a couple more positions and super racy as we head back to the front. Here we go. Look at Briggs and Stokes. Stokes goes wide. Briggs might just be redressing that there. I'm not quite sure. He's a bit of a gentleman racer when it comes to that sort of stuff. Checking out the replay of Freer, he slides it out, and Dodd is on the outside. I don't think they really had Freer got the move done here. Locks up the brakes, just slides over in Dodd's path. Dodd has nowhere to go, and he's off into the wall now for Dodd. So a bit of damage now sustained to both of those cars. So Tom Freer just can't have a lucky race, can he, guys?
He is really struggling to get a good run together here, and hopefully coming forward he's going to see that luck change for him as we see another move down into the hairpin. Corey Shepherd will complete this pass here on one Mustang on another as he slots that move through there on Jordan Ross. But yeah, the guys in the back, in the mid-pack there, are absolutely fighting over sheep stations. Nothing between them at all. And as a result, we've seen probably one of the bigger accidents we've seen so far this night. But those guys should be able to recover those cars and get back underway as Kyle Stokes now with mirrors full of Adam Briggs. They fight over the 11th position.
Yeah, Briggsy, he's made quite a few positions, but Kyle Stokes not making it easy for him. Bradley Vaughan and Thomas Hinds in front. So Vaughan is up 2 positions down to P9. Hinds up into P10. So he's the real losers out of this one really is Tom Freer there and, of course, Mr. Dodd. I feel for the NSR Esports guys of Dodd because, you know, he really, I don't think he had anywhere to go in that one. He was on the outside. There was some racing line. A little bit of a lock up there from Freer and unfortunately pulled the car in front of him. They just touch and off onto the wall and there's going to be a bit of damage sustained there. Hopefully they can get back out in the race. But Michael Taliancic, good news for him. Up 30 positions, guys. What a charge from him out of P44 to start this race.
He's driven exceptionally well and now inside that top 15, so doing very, very good. With a couple of other big notable contenders that have worked their way through quite nicely in traffic as well. Aaron Gilbert up 15 spots, Nathan Tregarthen up 12 into 25th position, and Henry King fighting his way back through the field now in 29th position, still gained 14 spots. So those guys working their way nicely up through the field here.
Yeah, Aaron Gilbert, you're right, having a great run as well. 15 positions. You know, there's so many of them making their way. Scott Weston's up in the Taipan Esports as well, up to P31, up 11 positions. Oh no, they're bunched up again here. What's going on? Stokes here, hard under brakes. Let's see how this goes. Briggs has a move on him. Can they get it? Hinds is just in front. Will they go through wide? Oh, a lot of curb there from Briggs. But on the inside now, it looks like they're going to get the run there for Stokes. He's on the inside run. Briggs holding on the outside. They're exchanging position now. He's on the inside for Briggs. Over the inside of the curb. There's lots of runoff there, though, for Stokes to go. But Briggs looks like he gets the run, and he will make this move. The DPR Sim Briggs car gets it done again. Jamie Dyke just holding out on the back. He's up 8 positions, though, Jamie Dyke in the Fishing Motorsports. But lurking in the background is the hard charger for this round, Michael Taliancic. You can see the green car not far away, and I'm just going to have a look at some of the times. He's a 1:42.03 from Michael Taliancic, a 1:41.46 from Jamie Dyke. So maybe Taliancic's not really had the pace. Might have used a bit of tyre, or maybe with some back markers there, with some more traffic there with Michael Taliancic. But he's got past Greg Sharp. Here we go though. Briggs now in front of Kyle Stokes and Jamie Dyke. The next person in his sights will be Thomas Hinds, who is in P10 in the Henry James Racing. Great to have him on the show this week. It was good to have a chat with him and know that he normally driving the GT3 cars. And if you've done a bit of iRacing, you know they're normally a lot easier to drive than these supercars in the previous build. But saying with the new build, it's starting to get a lot more similar. They're you know really becoming a lot easier to drive. You can get the setup right on them.
Yeah, really starting to come in there. And I mean, for a lot of these guys, I mean, we'll see them mixing different car types and the likes. We've seen Andrew Dyson jump not only from the supercars but across to GTE and be very successful in that. So where the cars at the moment, very, very close. Admittedly, supercars we know don't have a huge amount of downforce compared to what a modern GT car does, but these guys adapt very, very quickly to them, and we're seeing great results as they continue on. Out front, James Scott, since getting or taking control of the lead of the race just prior to safety car coming out, has been able to build a little bit more of a gap now. It's at to 1.6 seconds, and Corey Shepherd now mirrors full of Jordan Ross. He hasn't quite been the same pace that we've seen in the first 2/3 of this race there, and just starting to fall off a little bit.
Yeah, I think Ross chewed a fair bit of tyre usage trying to keep up with James Scott at the start of the race. He really applied the pressure. I like in the background though, Andrew Dyson all over the back of Rudd. Don't know to get the move. His teammate though we see on screen now, Adam Briggs, the DPRSimRigs.com entry. What can he do? Can he make this happen? So Andrew Dyson needs to make a move. He needs to make that move past Dylan Rudd. But I like what Dylan Rudd has done. He's hovered in. He started in 4th. He stayed in 4th, so he hasn't lost a position yet. He's not going to want it now, but this is the testing point. Everyone on the inside has locked the brakes up here at some point coming in the hairpin. But that was textbook move there. Did not see any puffs of smoke. Didn't look like he locked the brakes up anywhere. Nice move there, but with that tight right hand, it's the drive there. And normally the car on the outside, you think Rudd will get it there. But coming down here, we go right-hander, left-hander. Looks like Dyson will get that move done over Dylan Rudd and move back into position number 5.
Yeah, nice move there. As we see also Briggs' teammate managing to come up another spot as well. So that puts him inside the top 10 now with Brad Vaughan just ahead, the red and black Rashid Sim Racing car through there. So both the Synergy car, the DPR cars making respective moves as they work their way through. A little bit of an incident further back in the field. Saw one of the rotations of the Coast Sim Sports car. I think that was Jaden Borg involved in that one. And another positional change here with Brian Borg and Bailey Frid. And a little bit of contact, and again, similar to what we saw from Andrew Dyson, just not getting that car hooked up on the exit of the hairpin.
That Wade Sheedy back in P26 looks like something's got a little bit wide there as well. So unfortunate for him, but we know he's enjoying his time in the AOSC, and we'll definitely send the messages out to him because it might be good to catch up with him as well. Let's get back into the top of the race though, and look at the charge from Dyson now. He's got to try and catch up to Jordan Rosso, and I'm just going to have a look now. He's got a bit of free air. Ross did a 140.95, Dyson a 141.62. So he might be able to start to crank that pace on now. He's got some clean air in front of him. Of course, he was behind Dylan Rudd earlier. Definitely in racing, the simrigs.com DPR boys definitely have the pace when it comes to race mode. Just off the back of there too, you can see Damien Johnson now catching up to Dylan Rudd also, and Adam Briggs. I tell you what, guys, I would love to get the replay file on this because I reckon we could do a nice little collage of some synchronised passing between these two. It all happened at the same time.
Absolutely. I think it wouldn't be too hard to get that one sorted. It'd be nice to see a bit of a side-by-side action as the guys work their way through on those respective positional changes, and just to get an idea. I think a bit of inside-outside for either of them, and finding very nice work there. And the car's hooking up exceptionally well. So continue to watch this fight now for 9th position. Brad Vaughan going to have a tough job again, trying to hold off the charge of Adam Briggs.
Hard charger though down here. You look at Michael Taliantich. He has just gone a couple of tenths faster than Jamie Dyke, who's in front of him in position 13. So Michael Taliantich might get a chance. Lock up with the brakes there though for Briggs. Can't force too much tyre wear on those tyres. He's still got quite a few cars to get by, because if he gets past Bradley Vaughan, he's got the man who is the super defence, Brian Borg. That's going to take a fair bit of effort. He's running out of laps here. We've got 10 laps left in this race as we cross the start-finish line. So 10 laps left to go, or 11 really to complete it. We are starting lap 55 of 65 in this race. So Briggs behind Vaughan. Briggs back into P10 after an unfortunate incident earlier. If you just joined us on the coverage, that coming into pit lane for the last pit stop, he actually went to the outer limits and got a pit stop. A little bit of a penalty there, a bit of a hold in pit lane there for speeding, I believe it was. So yeah, unfortunately that pushed him back quite a number of spots. He was in P4, Mr. Briggs, and we could, if Mr. Dyson was there, I reckon those guys could have been like a double DPR up on the podium.
Certainly would have tried. They're traditionally normally in 3rd and 5th. So Dyson needs to get a move on, and Briggs needs to do a whole lot of work to get up to 5th. But the pace is seen out of those simrigs.com cars tonight. I have no doubt in my mind that is totally achievable within the next 10 laps.
Almost 2 seconds to James Scott though, out in the lead at the moment over Corey Shepherd, and Jordan Ross is just behind him. And Jordan Ross just backed off the pace a little bit now, unfortunately. You can see a little bit of a gap opening up, but Andrew Dyson is your man currently up on screen in position number 4. Now, he's got to try and catch up to Ross. He got past Dylan Rudd, who hasn't really left him behind, but Rudd needs to watch out because Damien Johnson is coming. Bailey Frid's then got past Brian Borg a few laps ago, so it's Johnson, Frid, Borgie, Vaughan, and a hard charging position number 10. Adam Briggs is on the move. Here we go, he's all over the back of Vaughan. We knew it wouldn't take too many laps. Now we've only got 10 complete laps to go. We're on lap 56 of 65. If he gets past Vaughan, Borgie's right in his sights. You can see them all. You can see Frid. He can see about 4 positions in front at the moment. And look, here we go. Puts the nose out. He's going to get him under brakes for Vaughan. He's already chewed up a fair bit of tyre, but he gets it done nice and clean. And Vaughan gives him plenty of racing room and will slot back in behind Adam Briggs. And he gets himself another position to move back into position number 9.
Yeah, don't count this one as being a done deal yet. Vaughan's going to have a chance here with the draft down in towards the hairpin, so it'll be up to Briggs to see whether he wants to go defensive or just park that car on the racing line, and he chooses the racing line as there's still some battling ahead with Brian Borg and Bailey Frid also having their own little exchange in the hairpin. That invites both Briggs and Vaughan to have a look as well. So those guys are really looking pretty handy here. The 2 pursuit guys have got both a Premier and a DPR car just in the sandwich there and trying to hold these guys up, but both Borg and Briggs doing a stellar job trying to work their way back through.
Well, Norris, what do you do if you're Brian Borg at the moment? Are you defensive over Briggs, or are you going to be in super attack mode and try and get Frid?
Well, if you're in super attack mode, you let Briggs go through and then you follow him through as he rounds up Frid, because Brian Borg and Bailey Frid have been lockstep with each other all night. There's been an incident, they've been right next to each other, so I'd use the pace of Briggs to try and get past Bailey Frid.
Here we go. Looks like the move's going to be on though. Briggs on the inside. Borg gives him a little bit of room. Probably a smart move. He might be listening to you, maybe, Norris. Maybe he's got you in there on his chat.
Borg, he's never listening to me.
Oh, he's held out. He is so good at this, Brian Borg. He's not afraid to go on the outside line. He's not going to give up. 3 wide now. Here we go. Vaughan's into this one as well. He's on the inside. Ping pong. Oh, there we go. And the loser out of this one is Brian Borg, because Hins follows them through. So Hins, what a move to get back into P10.
And Vaughan with the big 3-pass move to get up into P8 now as well. So, Vaughan we thought might have dropped away when that move with Briggs had got through. He's charged back through as well, hold on. And Hins looking very racy, just sitting in the background as Briggs makes a little bit of a moment there, locks those rear wheels again down in towards the hairpin.
Where did Thomas Hins come from? I didn't even notice him in the background. He's like silent but deadly. Is that what he is? I did not notice him in the background, unfortunately.
He sort of just appeared on the back of that train there, and it looks like Brian Borg's not only been listening to what I say, he's been watching my ping pong racing, because that's essentially what happened to him. They're locked out of the move at turn 2.
Watch out for Stokes, because Stokes now is in the background of this, and if they keep this battle going on, he's going to be come into this one and make it a 4-car battle.
Well, yeah, and look how quickly Vaughan has been able to check out from these 4 as well while they've been scrapping amongst themselves. He's already built a 2-second advantage and has scampered off into the distance while these guys are going 2 by 2.
I feel, Norrie, that maybe Briggs has chewed up a fair bit of tyre wear on this charge, because we've seen a couple of uncharacteristic brake lock-ups from him. We're down to the last 7 or 8 laps of this race as well.
Yeah, those tyres couldn't have lived forever, but I was expecting Borgie and Briggs to have a bit more racecraft about that move, and I don't think anyone was expecting Vaughan to take that position and advantage himself.
Well, he's now up 3 positions into position 8, and he's in front of Brian Borg. So Bradley Vaughan, nice little move from him. Damien Johnson's in position 6. Now, he is up 8 positions, and we talk about Michael Taliancic. It's super impressive that he's gone 30 positions, but he's gone from P44 and gone through, I would suppose, a lot of the middle pack, whereas if you look at Damien Johnson, he started out at P14. He's had to contend with the top 10. So nice move from him as Borger gets another move done. Looks like he's going to take this position back off Adam Briggs. This battle is continuing, and Michael Taliancic can't shake Greg Sharp from the Coda Simsport entry either. Every time I look, Sharpie's just on the back of Taliancic now. Look at Kyle Stokes, just waiting.
Then you got Jamie. Just wait.
Yeah, you got Jamie Dyke. I think Hin's been a bit more involved, but Stokes was probably a couple of seconds behind these 3 a lap ago, and he's just caught right up to him. Every time they go too wide, he just seems to close that gap right up again. And Borg and Briggs are going to get locked into this nice little battle for position at number 9 at the moment. Hin's just wanting to get in the top 10 here tonight to get a top 10 finish. James Scott out in front he's got a little bit of a gap now, over 1 second, and it's a couple of seconds back to Jordan Ross. Dyson now 7 seconds back and Rudd right behind him. Johnson in position 6, Frid in 7. Vaughan is the big mover out of this battle. He was, it's hard to remember 2 laps ago that Vaughan was right in amongst this battle. You can see up on your screen at the moment, but he is just charged away, like Dan said, and just, way out in front of these guys at the moment. It's going to be hard for them to catch. 2-second lead over them.
Yeah, it's a tough one when you drop that much gap as quickly as they did. I mean, Vaughan's now set himself up with a nice, comfortable margin. He just needs to hit his marks. He's got a 2-second similar gap to Frid ahead, so no pressure on him at all. But the guys behind are still going to be scrapping over those sheep station. Borg, again, down to the middle of the lane here, trying to hold off Briggs. So Briggs might be in for a bit of an undercut if he can get it squared away and rotate it across, but just struggling a little bit to get that through as a drive-through penalty for the 2.63. That's Michael Schroeder down in 28th position. He's going to have to come back for a tour down the lane.
Interestingly enough, I don't know how Briggs is going to go for fuel. I think he is going to be right on the limits. And he's probably chewed a fair bit of that up in these battles too. There hasn't been a chance for him to coast, save anything. Be interesting to see, he definitely would have taken the full tank on. That was lap 43 they came in, so they're right on the cusp of a full tank if they're using a lot of acceleration and being very aggressive in their driving.
Yeah, they would have been using quite a bit of fuel if they've been quite aggressive. And the amount of moves these guys have been involved in, I'm not surprised that any of them will take fuel saving and throwing it out the window. So they might just be curtailing their runs at the end of the race and try and save that little bit of fuel.
Yeah, James Scott's probably in the prime position at the moment over Corey Shepp and Jordan Ross. Andrew Dyson in 4th. Dylan Rudd in 5th. There's been some great battles. Damien Johnson in 6th. We've still got about 6 laps left to go as they come around. And might complete this. We might be going down to 5 laps. Can't be too far off completing this lap at the moment. Just looking up on my screen. They're down the back just doing the hairpin. So 5.5 laps left to complete this 300-kilometre race here at Hockenheim in Germany. Jordan Ross in 3rd position. You can see up on screen in the Synergy Sim Racing. And let's count them now at the moment. Synergy Sim Racing. So they've got 1, 2... Where are we? We've got 2 cars in the top 10. Premier Racing Team have got 2 cars in the top 10. DPR have got 2 cars in the top 10. Pursuit Sim Racing have got, I count 2 cars in the top 10. So, yeah, it's all happening really. Here we go. Briggs and Borg are back at it again. The battle continues. Briggs now goes over Borgie on the inside line. Hinds in the background being a little bit defensive. He needs to watch out for Stokes. No, he's going to get the advantage. Puts the nose in. Oh, has to slide the car a little bit. Spins the wheels to Stokes. Stokes has to take advantage of this one. He's got a good run. He didn't lose any traction. He's on the inside line. Doesn't look like he's going to get that done. Take advantage over Hinds. Briggs, though, has the move done on Borgie.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing between any of these guys. It was a big moment there for Borg just under brakes there. He almost lost that spot too to Hinds there. And again, everyone's really struggling for tyre grip at this late phase of the cycle as well. So it's only going to get tougher for them. We're going to see more excitement as these guys continue fighting these spots over. Hinds now setting up for a run over Borg. We'll see how he goes with the exit, but he might be looking for a route down into towards turn 2. See whether he can hold him out, but Borg's awake to that when he moves that car over, sits it in the middle of the circuit there, and going to make it very tough for Hinsey to try and come around the outside.
And look at the gap that Briggs has already opened up. I think we've been robbed of what we could have seen from that one.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Like we say, he's been super pacey, but we've got the pure driving school that come on and do our laps because they do some impressive laps and give you a pretty good car normally when you're out there. I must admit, Norrie, but. Do you think we could have the defensive driving school of Borgie and he can actually teach people how to put the elbows up and be super defensive?
I think we should invest in that. That's a good school to get involved in.
What we do is we give Borgie a car that's 2 seconds a lap slower than you, and then you've got to try and pass him. And we'll teach you the ways. Here we go. Hinds down the inside. Gets it done. Pushes Borgie on the outside. He's not going to get Stokes now. Puts his nose in. They nearly go 3 wide. Borgie back on the inside line. See, he knows where the corners are. He has memorised the track. Oh, Stokes now. Is that a little bit of contact there? 3 wide. Oh, Stokes on the inside though. Is he going to get the 2-car move done? Borgie on the outside. Hinds gets pushed back now. Oh, this is what we've seen so many of these battles tonight where you think one car is going to go through and someone comes off the back of the 3-car battle and ends up 2 positions in front.
It was almost. Sorry, Dan. It was almost going to be Stokes Van Gisbergen because he was going to get the 2 for 1 there. It was going to be a free kick.
Nothing between any of these guys. Like you could throw, you can't separate them here. Keep an eye too out in the front as well. That gap with James Scott, Corey Shepherd continuing to hover as well. You can see it dip down to 0.4 of a second last time by. So James, I wonder if we saw him take that very low stop time. It was only 28 seconds. 4 seconds less fuel went into that car compared to Corey Shepherd. Has he now hit the fuel saving limits of it?
I am having a look up on some of our calculators, and I have a feeling that James Scott is right on the cusp of trying to finish this race. It is going to be touch and go. I'll be surprised if he can do a celebration burnout after the race, put it that way.
Well, you do it across the line as you go and use the momentum and rotate the car through, but that's the only way you can do it. Win it or bin it, but
he doesn't want a win cup moment. He doesn't want a win cup moment. That's all we're saying. Can he bring it home? He's had to do it before.
Is he coasting though?
Don't know. I do not have those stats up on me, but the fuel level's looking pretty low for Mr. Scott, so he's going to have to watch out. Whereas Corey Shepherd, he was like another 4.5 seconds or something in the lane, so he's definitely filled to the brim.
That's coasting.
Yeah, and that's the same thing we've seen from James the entirety of this night. Even when he was stuck behind Corey Shepherd at the very early phase of this race, he was coasting and trying to eke out as much fuel economy as possible, and again, already doing it now. So we're going to see a fantastic conclusion to this. And if Corey does have the speed advantage that we assume that he does right now, it's going to come down to absolute nothing for these guys on the line.
Alright, I'm looking. Michael Taliancic has just gone another position as well up on my timing screen. So 31 positions up to P13 has gone past Jamie Dyke in the Fishy Motorsport.
And Dyson Johnson getting into a good little scrap as well. I think Dyson also now clawed himself up, or not that far off the back of Dylan Rudd there. So we could see these three have a good little exchange too for 4th position.
Well, will it be Damien Johnson? He's had a great night, up 18 positions in the Synergy Sim Racing entry. He's on the back. These two get in the battle. We've seen it all night. 3 cars in the battle. It's the car at the back you got to watch because they make the big move. You can see in the background, I'm not quite sure who that was that they have. Well, that looks like a lap car actually in the background. It's not actually. So it looks like we're still changing a couple of positions a bit further back, and Hinsey and Borgie are now in a little bit of a battle for position number 10, and they are exchanging this. Look at it now. Hins on the outside. He comes to the inside line. Borgie on the outside. We know he's not going to get out of this one. They give each other a bit of gentlemanly room there. Nice racing line there. Hinge uses a fair bit of grass, which is going to hurt him when he puts the accelerator down. He's on the outside. He's into it as well. Stokes hanging off the back, just hoping, praying that these guys might just outbreak themselves. And look who is behind them. The Hard Charger, the Green Machine, the 777, Michael Taliancic in the Pursuit Sim Racing now, all on the back of this one. He's 31 positions. Can he make P10? What a miracle that would be out of 44.
He's driven the wheels off that thing, and while this fight continues on as hard as it is, there's no reason to think that he can't get back into this one. We've only got 2 laps left in this for these guys to sort this out. And with the amount of rubbing that Borgie has done and the racing room that he's given, this is a really good opportunity. And just behind there as well, Greg Sharp and Jamie Dyke getting into their own little fight as well, just for the outside of the top 15.
Look at that, number 1 down to 0.2 of a second too between Scott and Shepherd. So P1 as well. I mean, what do we look at? We need about 20 people, 20 different camera angles at the moment because there's about 8 battles going on all at once. It's so hard to follow here in this race. It's been a fantastic night. 300 kilometres, who would have thought that so much action would be happening all at once across the entire race. What a fantastic race here for 185 of the AOSC. It's round number 10 here at Hockenheim, Germany. We're down to the last couple of laps. We're on lap 64 or 65, so we're on the second last lap. It's the penultimate lap. Here we go. We're going to head into the last lap in just a second. You can see this, James Scott leading, but he's been coasting. He's been fuel saving. I'm looking up at my screen and I do have a fuel level here, guys, from what it's telling me on our little screen. It's going to be close for Mr. Scott.
Yeah, he doesn't have much in it. There's a car in front to lap car, the 177, Roderick Hollis, just ahead. So don't expect him to be involved in this one as well. But and right on cue, just steps aside to let this fantastic battle continue on. But as we hit the white flag now, it's 17 opportunities, or 16 now, opportunities left for Corey Shepherd to try and get this move completed.
Look at Scott using the outer limits of the track too, so he can keep that nice flow, doesn't have to accelerate as hard. He's going to have to be super defensive because when he crossed the line, I'm not liking the fuel level I'm seeing, guys. It's tight, really tight on this lap. So my prediction is if he finishes, he won't be finishing another lap afterwards. He's going to run out. So watch this for Shepherd. He's only got the final lap to make the move. Of course, Scott goes super defensive going into the hairpin at turn number 6. Doesn't lock it up this time though. Scott does well. Shepherd spins the wheels coming out of there. I think Shepherd though is alright. He has a fair bit of fuel on board, a little bit more than Scott. So he took a lot more time in the pits last time. 4.5 seconds though on the last pit stop. But that was back in lap 43. Pending a safety car as Scott slides the car a little bit as he comes out. Here we go. They're getting into a little bit of a battle as they go through turn number 10. Shepherd on the outside, using the outer limits of the track. They're coming down the last final corners. What do we got? 5 corners left to go. Turn 11 here. The battle for position number 1 after 300 kilometres. It's come down to this. It's less than 0.2 of a second. Scott running out of fuel at the moment. James Scott has to do everything he can. Has to put the elbows out. Ironically enough, it's his teammate Brian Borg for Corey Shepherd, who is the king of being defensive. And now Shepherd's got to deal with someone who's just as good at Borgie at holding him out. Here we go, the finish line inside. Looks like he's going to make it home. The fuel almost about to run out. And there we go. He makes it home. James Scott will take the win. Corey Shepherd in second. Jordan Ross, what a finish from him in P3. What a comeback. Then it goes back to Dylan Rudd in the NSR Esports there in 4. Dyson will end up in 5th. Damien Johnson in 6th. Frid in 7th. Vaughan in 8th. Briggs in 9th. And Brian Borg, well, here they go. They come around to finish this one out. That looks like, so Briggs will come home. What can Borgie do? He's under attack from Hins. No, Borgie makes it home. Then it's Hins. Talliancic got over the top of Stokes. So 12th. What a drive from him. 32 positions, guys. 32 positions for Talliancic.
Yeah, hell of a drive there to pull that car through the field. He dragged it from the back of the grid all the way up towards the pointy end and still found himself in a hell of a battle to conclude the race with Kyle Stokes there. So awesome job for him. Tyson McAvoy across the line there for the One Performance Racing team as well. But that race had it all. But from start to finish, they were battled right the way through that one.
Mate, for the 300-kilometre race, we did say everyone had to be patient. And surprisingly, we did predict 2 safety cars, and I'm not, so it's not really a surprise to see that, but there weren't too many major incidents there. There were a couple of unfortunate ones. One we needed to touch on, Tom Freer, obviously, and it was Dodd there got involved. Tom Freer with a little brake lock up and then slid across in front of Dodd. Nowhere to go for him, so it's going to be interesting. Those guys were out early too. Looks like that may have brought an end to their race as well. Unfortunate for those guys. Just having another look at some places. We've got to talk about Mr. Briggs. Adam Briggs ended up in position number 9. Now, he was up in P4, but unfortunately coming into the pits was his Achilles tendon there, and he overshot a little bit and was speeding in pit lane and got a little bit of a penalty there. So that's pulled him up. Some big movers, though, I need to talk... his teammate, though, Andrew Dyson, up 4 positions into P5. That's a great one. Damien Johnson, though, he made 8 positions. So P14 to P6 in Synergy Sim Racing Car. Now, when you sort of go position 30 to 20, it's probably not as difficult as when you're trying to take on guys from position 12 onwards. So that's a great one from Damien Johnson. Bailey Frid had a shocking start and went back a number of positions, ended up in position 7, started out of 6. Bradley Vaughan was another good one. So plenty going on. Let's have a look at our results. So as we have a look up there, James Scott gets another win here, and it's an endurance win, single race endurance win here at Hockenheim, Germany. Corey Shepherd back in his traditional P2. Jordan Ross, it's been a few weeks where we haven't seen him, but he's back this week. He's had power the whole time, and he came home in position number 3. Dylan Rudd, fantastic drive from him in position number 4 to hold out Andrew Dyson in position 5. They had a little battle going on there at the last 10 laps of the race. Damien Johnson, super impressive, coming up to position 6. Bailey Frid in 7th. Bradley Vaughan in 8th. What a move he made in a battle there. He was in a battle with Adam Briggs, Brian Borg, and Thomas Hins, and he managed to take advantage of that and scoop the lead over those 3 and come home in position number 8. Then, like we say, Adam Briggs in 9, Brian Borg in 10, Thomas Hins in 11, Michael Talliancic, the hard charger of the night. We need to find out what happened to him at the start of the race in qualifying, because he was back in P44. dead last, ended up position number 12. Kyle Stokes in 13th, just missed out on that P12 in the last couple of 100 metres of the race. Greg Sharp and the Dakota Simsport entry in P14. Jamie Dyke and the Fishy Motorsports 15. Christian Smart in 16. David Kimmin in 17. And Brenton Nitsky in 18. Aaron Gilbert in 19. Sebastian Flock 20. Tyson McEvoy in 21. Henry King in 22. Dave Douglas in 23. Nick Timors in 24, and then we go to 25. Wade Sheedy, Craig Ansbach at 26, Brad Ratu in 27, Jaden Borg in 28, Nathan Tregartham in 29, Chris Barnes in 30, Roderick Hollis in 31, Scott Weston 32, Harry Dodds 33, Michael Schroeder 34, and there was an incident with him where he had to redress. Mickelson Jack in 35, Tom Freer out early with that incident in 36, Matthew Brunt 37, Darren McKenzie in 38. 39 was Aaron Dodd in that same incident with Tom Freer and out early. Rick Sibra 40, Riley Curtis in 41, Joseph Daly 42, Brenton Hobson 43, and Braden O'Loughlin unfortunately out early and in position number 44. Big thanks to Jinx Shifters, of course. That was round number 10 coming in from Hockenheim in Germany. Big shout out to all of our sponsors, of course, whether it be Sydney Computers. We can also we need to look at AJ Insurance Services, Bowler Media and Sideways Photography, Race Circuit Art Australia, simrigs.com, and of course Track Cams for Gourmets. But we are going to drag in our winners into commentary and have a bit of a chat with them. Of course, in position number 3, it was Mr. Jordan Ross who got home in the Synergy Sim Racing entry, the number 143, and we bring him in. Jordan has just joined us here in the commentary booth. And Jordan, mate, you've had a couple of unlucky runs there, but tonight the power stayed on and you get home in P3.
Guys, yeah, hopefully that's the end of it now. Hopefully it's we can get on a bit of a roll finally for the last bit of the season.
You undercut Corey Shepherd there in that last pit stop. Was that a bit of a strategy there? How were you going with fuel at the end of the race?
Yeah, we were fine for fuel. We just saved a bit in the first 2 stints, and I knew James was saving a bucket load as well. But yeah, so we jumped in, but ultimately the 2 guys in front just had a little bit more pace in some areas, yeah, no, overall pretty happy because we haven't been up battling for the lead in a long time, so we'll take that.
Well, when we talk championship points, though, you guys actually have 4 Synergy Sim racing cars. 5 Synergy Sim racing cars in the top 10. So, as a collective group, the team's doing really well.
Yeah, no, the team's going great, and we've got a really good. We're recruited really well. We've got a really good bunch of guys now, and we're all sort of pushing each other and helping each other. Tom was super. I don't know if you noticed in that first safety car, but Tom would have come out in the lead, but he got a because he went that extra lap on fuel, and everyone was coasting around thinking that no one else could go that extra lap on fuel, and he was in the pits, but he got a 40-second stop and hold. So bummer that he wasn't up there, but yeah, overall the whole team's going good. I think Damo got 6, so really cool.
Yeah, no, Damo's super impressive too, up 8 positions. So yeah, look, mate, congratulations. Anyone you need to thank before you go?
Yeah, everyone at Synergy Sim Racing, the sponsors, JK Signs, Posie's Mechanical Repairs, all the guys that have been helping all week, and you guys, Nick and Mark, for putting on AOSC. You guys are doing the commentary, and congrats to Corey and James. Corey was close, but yeah, James ticked another one over.
Yeah, he's having a super impressive season. We know he was impressive last season, but he's just carrying that on, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's a champion and he drives like a champion. So, but Corey's knocking on the door, and a couple more seasons he'll be the one we're all chasing.
All right, congratulations tonight, mate. You get yourself the bronze, and we'll hopefully we're going to talk to you next week as well.
Catch ya. See ya.
Yeah. Well, you heard it there, 3rd place, Jordan Ross, and yeah, tried that there. They fuel saved there to do the undercut there on the second pit stop, but unfortunately just couldn't bring it home because we've got 2 super impressive drivers in front of him. One of those has just joined us from 2nd position tonight. Again, it's a familiar spot for him, and I know he was so close to the goal, but you got him in qualifying, Corey Shepherd.
Got him in qualifying. I was really happy with that. Led at the start, and that was all going to plan. We were kind of trying to make sure we kept him behind as long as we could. and they were saving fuel behind me, so we knew we were kind of going to get a bit of a disadvantage in the pits. But we did what we could and tried to get past Jordan towards the end, and try and close the gap to James, which we did, but just didn't have enough to pass him.
Yeah, but a super impressive race, and like we say, they're not too many years behind you. You're a young fella, and definitely some moments there where James Scott under brakes. Was that a bit nervous there in the hairpin when he tried to get you and lock the brakes up?
Yeah, I saw him coming. I thought I better not turn in, because if he hit me on an angle, I was pretty much gone. So I thought I'd keep it squared up, and then he just gave me a bit of a push, and we kept playing on. So that was all good.
So, what is the next thing that you need to practice as your team? Your teammate Brian Borg is the king of defensive driving. Is that something that you're practicing as a team?
Yeah, we're always practicing things like race runs and attacking, defending, the whole lot. I think we're improving each week, and we just need to take a few more steps, and then we can start maybe hopefully going for some race wins.
Mate, well, you can't whinge about getting on the podium so often. I mean, you've been really good driver in the series, and but James Scott, super outstanding, and to be that close behind him after 300 kilometres, we hats off to you, mate. Great race.
Thanks, guys.
Is there anyone you need to thank before you go?
Yeah, I need to thank my sponsor, Mr. Antenna, all the guys at Premier Racing Team, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
No worries, mate, and I'm sure we will talk to you in the next couple of rounds.
Cheers, see you then.
So, well, that was second place, Corey Shepherd. Another big night there, and he almost got there again, the Mr. Antenna Mustang, but just can't quite make it over the man who is leading our championship at the moment and has won again tonight. And I do want to talk to our winner actually at the moment to find out how much fuel he had over the finish line. James Scott, you joined us in the commentary box. It was pretty close on fuel at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't. Fuel was reasonably close, but that was definitely covered. I just really didn't drive very well at all, really, in the last stint. I had moments of driving well, but I just didn't quite be on the limit every single lap, which is what the aim is.
How important was it in that first stint to stay behind Corey, and was there a bit of fuel saving going on there?
Yeah, there was a fair bit of fuel saving going on. I just sort of thought that I could pass him, obviously, with the draft, but then he'd just be saving fuel behind me. So I tried to play my cards right there in that first stint, and then again in the second stint was basically the same thing, which sort of allowed me to go that few extra laps there in the first stint and get a little bit of a fuel advantage on everyone else.
Yeah, no, it was great to watch you come down right to the end. And do you think Corey might have had you if there was another 2 or 3 laps in that race?
Yeah, it would have been a good battle. He got alongside a few times at the hairpin, but I was sort of really focusing on getting a good exit out of there. So I sort of expected he would go around the outside there. But so I just really focused on my exits. But yeah, if the race went for another few laps, it would have been interesting, that's for sure. Well,
it's going to help you in your championship, defending your championship again this year. Of course, you had a 330 point lead coming into this one, of course, the endurance round, and you're leading our enduro standings as well. So another super impressive race tonight. Congratulations, mate. Anyone else you need to thank?
Yeah, obviously congratulations to Corey and especially Jordan. He's had a really tough time of late. So it's really good to see him get a little bit of a reward for the effort he's been putting in lately. And obviously all our great sponsors at Altus Esports. We haven't really nailed it with the setup just yet since they've done this update, but we're getting there. And we wouldn't be able to do it without our great partners, Logitech G, Astro Gaming, Cube Controls, Own 3D, Racetech Seats, and obviously can't forget our new sponsor. Well, it's not so new anymore, VRS, which is a really great support from them.
Well, congratulations again on another win, mate, and charging toward another championship win. But I'm sure we'll be speaking to you before the end of the series. Congratulations on tonight, and we'll speak to you then.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for the broadcast and the series admin as well.
Yeah, they're doing a great job tonight, and we need a bit of shout out to Ryan Colstead, who's stepped in tonight for Nick and done the broadcast tonight and kept everything going for all of you watching out there. Hopefully you're on YouTube, you've liked and subscribed to the channel. But Dan, Norrie, what else do we need to say about tonight?
Well, what's left to say? I mean, we saw some fantastic battling throughout the entirety of that race, and hats off to all the guys out there. They put on a stellar show, and I think the fights that we saw at the back end of this race were absolutely spectacular. I mean, there were 6 or 7 exchanges going on all throughout it, and for a brand new circuit to recently release to iRacing, and for all these guys now to turn up and put on the show they've done, they've really got on top of that. Not only the track, but also the car and the recent changes that have gone on. Next event will be very interesting. We've got a little bit of a layover before we head off to Charlotte, to the road course over at Charlotte Roval. So back underway again on the 23rd of April as well. But we saw some pretty interesting racing there last weekend. We're going to see the same again next time now.
Yeah,
Norris.
all I can say is the 300k format races deliver time after time. Brilliant racing, awesome race tonight by all involved, and I can't wait to do this sort of thing again.
Oh, mate, I'm just looking at it through the time machines. There's quite a few hard charges tonight, but my standout, Michael Talianchis, I'm going to say it again, 32 positions out of dead last, 44 up to P12. Damien Johnson, another good one. Quick shout out to Aaron Gilbert. Looks like he made 16 positions. Henry King, 20 positions up into 23rd. Some great standouts there. A lot to dissect, and we'll do that on the pre-race show next week. Not this week, but next week, of course. We're coming here for round number 11. It'll be race 186 in the Jinx Shifters AOSC10. It's coming here from Charlotte this time, though. Back to the sprint race. So there won't be too many laps. It'll be a dash of fuel and tyres, and off we go. Only one pit stop in that one, I would say. But yeah, it's coming to you from Charlotte. Can't wait for that one 2 weeks' time. Thank you, Daniel Leet. Thank you, Matthew Norris. It's been another one. I'm Matty Kavanagh. Big shout out to Ryan Colstead, who's been doing our production in the background tonight in lieu of Nick. We can't wait for that one in 2 weeks. Stay tuned for the pre-race show.